Brown Stadium in Cincinnati as the Pittsburgh Steelers meet the Cincinnati Bengals. Today's game is brought to you in high definition by Sony. High definition, it's in Sony's DNA. Our kickoff is next on CBS. Day here in Cincinnati, right around 60 degrees. There is a slight breeze out of the east. Sunny skies for the Bengals and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Cincinnati won the toss. They have deferred. It's been about 50-50 as Mike Tomlin's offense will be on the field to begin things. They had the bye, and then 2 weeks ago, of course, they had that terrific win down in Jacksonville. The Jets took care of Marvin Lewis, and the Bengals last week, as Favre was throwing touchdown passes in the Meadowlands against the Cincinnati D. There's Dave Rayner, who is taking the place of the injured Shane Graham, who has a groin injury and is inactive today. And deep back will be Najee Davenport. They signed him a couple weeks ago with all the injuries to their running backs. Well, on paper, Rich, you've got a 4-1 first-place team against an 0-6 last-place team. How in the world will Cincinnati have any kind of success today?
Well, I don't believe they'll be able to run the ball against this Pittsburgh defense. I know this sounds crazy. I think they need to spread them out and let Ryan Fitzpatrick go to work throwing the football. Short, intermediate throws to get them started, get him some confidence early in this game.
We've already had our first bit of news in this game. The Steelers were lining up to the left to receive. The Bengals were on the right to kick off. Now they have switched. And so now the kick, as you can see, obviously, from Dave Rayner, who has played with Indianapolis and Green Bay and Kansas City and San Diego with the Chiefs and Chargers a season ago. He's out of Michigan State. He was signed October 11th, and he will kick off. Jeff Reed has got some issues, too, with his kicking ability. He had a calf injury in Jacksonville, although he was warming up and kicking off before the game very well today. 2-1 road record for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They've won 2 consecutive games overall. And a season ago, Cincinnati was 7-9. And I don't think anybody saw 0-6 whacking the Bengals across the head the way it has.
Well, they've earned where they are with inconsistent play in all phases.
Here we go. Battle in the north. Steelers and Bengals. And this is Davenport, the ex-Green Bay Packer, from the 1-yard line. And he was hit and brought down by Kyrus at the 25-yard line. Hebert brings him down. Now the Steeler offense. Quarterback Ben Roethlisberger hurt his shoulder week 1, but right now might be his best he has felt since then. He is the 9th-rated quarterback in the league. Right tackle will still be manned by Cologne. It's the left side which is a concern. Marvell Smith is out with back spasms, and Max Starks will take his place. And running back Willie Parker out again. Re-aggravated that knee in practice earlier this week in Pittsburgh. And so taking his place, Moeldy Moore from the 25. It's 1st and 10 for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Nick Hughes is in the backfield. There's a bobbled snap from Hartwig to Roethlisberger and back to the 22 on a loss of 3. Let's talk about that Cincinnati defense coming off its best performance of the season against the Jets last week.
And you just see that's not the way you want to start the game. Simple quarterback center exchange, something you work on day 1 in training camp.
Coming off the bye, what did you find when you played were some issues for a team quarterback coming off a bye week?
Well, you know what? You haven't played. You missed playing last week. Sometimes you're a little rusty. A lot of these veteran players did not do a lot of work this week. They really want to take a look at some of the younger players on that roster.
Couple tight ends now. 2nd down and 13 yards to go. And a good fake to Moore. Roethlisberger is so good at those fakes. He dumps it off to Heath Miller, who was banged out of bounds by the linebacker Genty at about the 27-yard line on a catch and run of 6 yards on the play. Antoine Odom on that defensive line of the Bengals. He leads them in sacks. The rookie linebacker Keith Rivers has been a good addition to this team. 9th overall pick out of USC. And Ndukwe replaces Dexter Jackson at strong safety, and Jackson will take the place of Marvin White in the secondary and free safety at 2nd down. Make it 3rd down and 7 to go. The Bengals have gone to the nickel. That means David Jones has come in. The nickel linebacker is Brandon Johnson. 3rd down and 7.
Well, they really like these bunch sets up top right here. They love the tight bunch.
That means Washington is the 3rd receiver. They go outside. That's Hines Ward. He's got the 1st down. He's on the move. He makes a great cut inside, and he takes it to the 43-yard line and brought down on the play by Antoine Odom. It's a catch and run of 29 yards as Hines Ward catches a pass for the 152nd consecutive game.
And they're bringing pressure because they have a difficult time getting pressure on the quarterback with their front four. And you see those bunch sets, it makes it very difficult for the secondary because there's so many picks coming off the line of scrimmage.
Back to a regular defense now with 4 defensive backs. 2 tight ends with Moore in the backfield for Roethlisberger from the 43. Fake again to Morelde Moore. He got right by the oncoming rush. The blitz was on by Jonathan Joseph, and Dukwe on the far side makes a grab on the receiver who is Ward. It's a gain of 6 on the play, and a player is down across the way at about the 43-yard line.
And just keep an eye on Hines Ward. I mean, this is a guy that throws his body around. He is a most complete receiver in the game. He is unselfish, a great competitor, and he's willing to block.
Spaeth, the one who caught the pass. Timeout. The injured Cincinnati Bengal was the rookie Rivers out of USC, bleeding from the mouth. 2nd down and 4. Spaeth, the one to catch it, gained 6. The block by Ward from the 37-yard line. Moore is in the backfield. It's an end around, and this is Nate Washington, a 4th-year undrafted player out of Tiffin, who's brought down by Antoine Odom. And the end around produces 6. That is another 1st down. Mark the ball at the 31-yard line. Let's go revisit that block again by Ward.
And watch Roth. He's fearless in the pocket. He holds the ball till the very end. You just watch Hines Ward at the end here cleaning up the play. And the thing you know about him is he doesn't take plays off. He'll do whatever it takes to win. That was a clean block there by Hines Ward.
Brandon Johnson has taken the place of the injured Rivers on the sideline at that linebacker position. Another 1st down for Pittsburgh. They began this drive on their 25. The big play, 29-yard catch and run by Hines Ward. This is the first possession of the game, and they send Ward in motion with a couple of tight ends in on the near side. There's some movement.
False start, offense number 68. 5-yard penalty. It's 1st down.
That's the left guard, Chris Kemoeatu. And there goes Rivers. It almost looked like he was bleeding inside his mouth on his tongue, and they will go and take a look more specifically inside the Bengal locker room, and when we get word, we'll pass it on to you. So now it is 1st and 15. 4 defensive backs for the Bengals. Still the 2 tights, and Pittsburgh plays as much 2 tight end as any team in the NFL. Here's Roethlisberger. There's a block by Cologne and a pass incomplete for Ward, and the coverage on the play by Leon Hall. We'd like to welcome those of you watching or trying to watch San Diego and the Buffalo Bills. You're in Cincinnati with the Bengals and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Because of technical difficulties in Orchard Park, you'll be here until they get that rectified out east, and then we'll send you back to the Chargers and the Bengals in the Buffalo Bills game. 7th play of the drive, 2nd down and 15.
It's a better game, isn't it? Still here?
2nd down and 15. Again, the 2 tights for Pittsburgh. And Morelde Moore with the block by Kemoeatu, and coming up with a nice play from the wing was Leon Hall, also hit by Ndukwe on a gain of 2 for Moore, who is the 3rd different starting running back this season for the Pittsburgh Steelers, the most in the NFL.
Well, the #1 priority for any defense has to be stopping the run, and the Bengals still haven't figured that out a way to do that. They're 28th. They're giving up 156 yards a game, but they are getting better. They're showing signs of improvement, and right there you see they're doing a good job stringing out Morelde Moore early in this game.
Nickelback is Jones, extra receiver Washington, 3rd and 13. They need the 21-yard line.
This has been a problem down for the Bengals. They haven't been able to get off the field.
Fanene is checked in on the defensive line. Good block by Cologne. Here's Roethlisberger wide open. The catch made. Santonio Holmes to the 2 and brought down by Dhani Jones. A catch of 32 yards. Roethlisberger right on the money. Jones the tackle. 1st and goal, Pittsburgh.
And this is going to be a problem for the Bengals all day. Ben Roethlisberger will sit in there and take a hit. And he has great vision. His eyes are always down the field. He doesn't see the rush, and he makes a lot of plays late in the play. He'll sit in there. He'll do whatever it takes to find a completion.
Najee Davenport is checked in. The 2 tight ends in there for, in fact, now make it 3. McHugh is on the near side. They got Spaeth and Miller on the far. 1st and goal at the 2. Moore is open. And he's got the touchdown, beating the linebacker, Brandon Johnson. A 2-yard touchdown pass that goes to Mewelde Moore, his 1st reception in the end zone this year for the Steelers.
And this is just the way you want to start when you're on the road. The first drive, go out there, get a couple completions, and then finish it off with a score. And that's just an example right there. Brandon Johnson filled in for Keith Rivers. He had his eyes in the backfield. He was a little late getting out to the flat to cover Mewelde Moore.
And for Moore, who signed as a free agent from the Vikings with the Steelers this past offseason. That is his 4th touchdown reception of his career. Here is the Reed extra point, making it 7-zip. Pittsburgh on their 1st possession. Big plays, a 29-yard catch and run by Ward, a 32-yard reception by Holmes, ending up with the Roethlisberger touchdown pass.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Low fares, no hidden fees. FedEx, your ultimate NFL air and ground player. And by the all-new Dodge Ram. Never back down from a challenge.
Ben Roethlisberger has just thrown a 2-yard touchdown pass to Mewelde Moore. And for Ben Roethlisberger, one of the top-rated quarterbacks in the NFL, his 8th touchdown pass of the season. A meticulous drive with big gains of 29 to Ward on 3rd down and 32 yards through the air to Santonio Holmes on 3rd down.
5 of 6 to 5 different receivers. Did a nice job spreading the ball down around on that drive.
Rookie Andre Caldwell is back. Glenn Holt is injured, and so Caldwell is a rookie from Florida from the 4-yard line getting the Reed kickoff. He gets a block from Kelly, and there he goes upfield and finally brought down by 2nd-year linebacker Lawrence Timmons. It is a 35-yard return. Ryan Fitzpatrick starts for the injured Carson Palmer. He is 0-5 as a starter. On the offensive line, not a starter, has missed a game, but issues nonetheless. 19 sacks allowed, 17 all of last season. And recently signed running back Cedric Benson replaces the ineffective Chris Perry in the starting lineup. Antonio Chapman becomes the 3rd receiver, and it's 1st and 10 from the 38-yard line for Fitzpatrick, who played at Harvard, initially drafted by the St. Louis Rams. Benson, good block by Kelly. Got by Ferrier, brought down by Hoke and by Harrison on a gain of a yard, and he's up to about the 38-yard line. 2nd oldest defensive line in the NFL, nose tackle Casey Hampton misses his 3rd straight game with the groin injury. Chris Hope will replace him. Kiesel's back today, back from injury. The best sack tandem in the NFL so far, Woodley and Harrison starting on the outside. And in the secondary, Troy Polamalu has 3 of the Pittsburgh 4 interceptions so far this year. 2nd down, long 9. Kelly is in the slot. Chapman is the extra receiver. Fitzpatrick. That's caught by T.J. Houshmandzadeh, who along with Wes Welker led all receivers a season ago in the NFL. Ferrier the stop. Gain of 3 to the 42.
Well, the Bengals have to find a way to get out of the gates better. They have not started games very well. Too many 3-and-outs. They lead the National Football League, and they've scored just 10 points all season in the first quarter. I think part of the problem is not only are they missing Carson Palmer, but the big plays have all but evaporated from this offense.
5 in the secondary. That means Deshae Townsend is out there. 3rd down and 6. Polamalu playing a deep safety here. Chapman remains that 3rd receiver. And they go outside looking for Chris Henry. And the coverage on the play was turned in by 4-year starter Ike Taylor. And so it's a quick punt for the Cincinnati Bengals. 3-and-out on their first possession.
You know Pittsburgh is going to test Ryan Fitzpatrick early. Pretty good protection. The thing about this, the defense, the corners on this Pittsburgh defense, they play off and they drive on routes. That's the way Dick LeBeau coaches them up.
Santonio Holmes is back inside the 15, and here is the punt by Kyle Larson, averaging 42 yards a punt. Holmes will wave it off. And everybody to stay clear, and he gets a nice roll, does Larson, down to about the 13-yard line of the Pittsburgh Steelers, who will get it for a second time. 45-yard punt. 8-12 in the first. Roethlisberger with a quick touchdown pass. We'll see him for the second time when we come back. Second possession for the Pittsburgh Steelers, beginning now at their own 13-yard line. They begin the last one at the 25, 1st and 10. There is a nickel back out there for Cincinnati's defense, and that is David Jones. Quick slant, Santonio Holmes. Jones there to make the stop about the 22-yard line on a quick gain of 9. 2-yard touchdown pass already by Roethlisberger in this game. Big play on that. Holmes catch 32 yards, and Ward had one for 29 to catch and run.
And you see some of this no huddle. When we talked with Ben Roethlisberger last night, he says he loves this package. It gives him more flexibility at the line of scrimmage to get him into the best possible play based on the front and the coverage.
Washington is the third receiver. It is 2nd down and 1. 4 defensive backs. Moelde Moore. Miller offering a block. And Brandon Johnson out there runs him out of bounds. Johnson taking the place of the injured Keith Rivers. It's a gain of 3 to the 25. And by the way, Rivers, we have just been told, has a jaw injury. They don't think he's going to return, so we'll see a lot of Brandon Johnson at the linebacker today.
Well, this offense, Pittsburgh's offense, has evolved under Bruce Arians. They spent a majority of the snaps in the last game at Jacksonville calling plays at the line of scrimmage. We know Ben likes it. Gives them more flexibility and certainly responsibility, making sure they get into the best possible play.
Still the 3 receivers with Washington as the third. Still 4 in the secondary. It's the 1st and 10 for Roethlisberger. Moelde Moore. Miller a block. And then they jump on his back. Led by Antoine Odom, the ex-Tennessee Titan, who came here as a big-time free agent. Gain of 4 on the play, up to about the 29-yard line.
Now, they like Moelde Moore. Now, he's not the big banger that's going to get up there and run a lot of times between the tackles. He's more of a perimeter player. Really thought of him as a 3rd down back. And he really thrives in this no-huddle package. And I anticipate we'll see a lot of it today because of the running back situation for the Steelers.
Rucker comes in at the right defensive end for Odom. Jones is the 5th defensive back, just added, so into the nickel with a 2nd down and 6 and 3 receivers at his disposal as Ben Roethlisberger. And Moelde Moore. He blocked over there by Hartwig, and he'll be close to a 1st down. A gain of about 5 yards near the 35-yard line, depending on where they're going to put it at the 34.
And just watch the push. They have 7, 8 men up the line of scrimmage. So look at the push that the offensive line is getting from the Steelers. I mean, Hartwig, Stapleton, Kimuatu inside. They get good push, and then they had the ability to get up on the 2nd level and get some of those linebackers.
3rd down and 1. They love the no huddle, as you talked about. And as you said, Roethlisberger thinks this is the most effective offense they've got. But that time on that 3rd and short, there was no gain on the play. Russell had just come in, and there was nothing doing. Stopped by the interior by Pecco and by John Thornton. So it's 4th down, and Pittsburgh on their 2nd possession will have to punt.
Well, you give yourself no chance when you don't even block Brandon Johnson off the edge. And that's just what happened there. But this no-huddle package, Kevin, it really helps Pittsburgh. It makes Mike Zimmer, the defensive coordinator, really takes him out of the equation in terms of Cincinnati's ability to dial up blitzes.
There's Mitch Berger to punt. And deep back will be Antonio Chapman looking in that bright Ohio sun at the 23. Got by the oncoming rush of Gay. Then he's brought down by Ryan Clark with a nice special teams tackle, throwing him for a loss of 1. 43-yard punt. 4:57 in the first. Roethlisberger a touchdown pass.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by the new AT&T. Your world delivered. And by Bud Light. The difference is drinkability.
Pittsburgh just punted. 2nd possession for Cincinnati. 22-yard line. 1st and 10. There is a bobbled handoff. And T.J. Hushmanzada is brought down by Aaron Smith. Back at about the 7-yard line. Loss of 15 on the play.
Boy, this was ugly. It looks like a little bit of miscommunication there, and you can see T.J. Hushmanzada. Either he went in front of the back or he wasn't anticipating that end around.
And Harrison came in and disrupted the play. So now Timmons comes in as the nickel linebacker. They bring in Deshae Townsend, second down and 25. Benson still in the backfield. Third receiver is out there for the Cincinnati Bengals. That's Antonio Chapman. Blocked by Reggie Kelly. Here's Benson. Polamalu coming in and bringing him down. And a gain of 8 on the play for the former Chicago Bears, Cedric Benson.
Well, they need to be able to run the ball with some consistency and take some of this pressure off of Ryan Fitzpatrick. And you can see right here, Cedric Benson, he's a physical runner. He'll run up inside between those tackles. And this is the kind of production that they need. They haven't had. They were 26th in 2006. Last year, they were 24th. This year, they're 31st, just averaging 72 yards a game on the ground. That's not enough.
Townsend still the nickel. They got Timmons in there still. The nickel linebacker, 3rd and 17. Henry has become the 3rd receiver for Ryan Fitzpatrick. Over the head, uncatchable for Kenny Watson. Bringing out again for Cincinnati. And by the way, those of you waiting to watch the Chargers and the Bills from Orchard Park, there is a stadium outage. They have power issues at the stadium, a non-CBS issue, and when they get that rectified, we'll send you back out for that San Diego Buffalo Bills game.
And you know, Kevin, time of possession is going to be an issue. They've not done enough with their opportunities.
Oh my gosh, what a horrible punt by Kyle Larson.
That's 2 in a row now.
It was picked up by Caldwell. What kind of punt on a 15-yard missed strike by the 5th-year veteran Larson. Wow. 3:17 first quarter. After a 15-yard punt by Cincinnati, look where Pittsburgh begins at 1st and 10 from the Bengals 30-yard line, and Washington is their 3rd receiver with Moore in the backfield, and this is Mewelde Moore. And he's brought down by Dhani Jones. It's a gain of 3 on the play, and he's down to the 27-yard line.
When you talk about a battle of field position in this game of football, the Steelers picked up 57 yards on that exchange of possession.
Under 3 minutes to play. Roethlisberger here in this first quarter has thrown a touchdown pass of 2 yards. 2nd down and 7. Bad punt by Cincinnati gives Pittsburgh this possession at the 27-yard line. Cologne with the block. That's Hines Ward. Brought down by Leon Hall, a former #1 pick out of Michigan. Gain is 8 earlier in the game. Ward had a catch and run of 29 yards. He's down to the 19-yard line right there and has a 1st down.
You're going to see Cincinnati today bringing a lot more pressure from the perimeter, linebackers, corners, and safeties, because they can't generate enough pressure with their front 4. I mean, they're coming into today's game, they have just 5 sacks. That's not enough. You can't let Ben Roethlisberger sit back there and pat the ball.
David Jones is the nickel back for Cincinnati. 1st and 10 from the 19-yard line for Pittsburgh on their 3rd possession today. The block by Hartwig. Moore comes in to help Roethlisberger to the end zone. Looking for Washington. The coverage by Jones a little bit high and uncatchable and incomplete. It'll be 2nd down.
You know, Ben Roethlisberger is a lot like a young Brett Favre. I mean, he has tremendous confidence, and he has a tough time giving up on a play. And I mean, sometimes it gets him in trouble, but a lot of times he pulls something out of the hat. I mean, it almost got it done there to Nate Washington, but he has great size and great vision in the pocket. He's very difficult to sack.
Pittsburgh has taken a timeout late first quarter. The MetLife Blimp is providing today's aerial coverage. Beautiful scenics of downtown Cincinnati. Look for the MetLife Blimps as we team up with CBS Sports for more coverage this fall. They began at the 30 on a bad punt by Cincinnati. Now a 2nd down and 10. Still the receiving group out there. In the slot atop your screen is the tight end Miller. 2nd down and 10. Nickel still out there defensively for the Cincinnati Bengals. Roethlisberger 7 of 9 throwing the ball. Hands off with the lead block by Cologne and by Miller. Mewelde Moore down to the 2-yard line. It's a 16-yard gain brought down across the way by Brandon Johnson. A beautiful play, 16-yard gallop, and it's 1st and goal.
And when they tell us they want to work on their draw game, the sprint draw, something that was a focus for them during the bye week. And Mewelde Moore is a shifty back. He does a nice job in space following that offensive line out in front.
Five defensive linemen for Cincinnati. McHugh is in the backfield, the tight end slash fullback. First and goal from the 3. Moore got the eye. 2 tight ends out there with Space and Miller atop the screen. The fake to Moore. And they were looking in the end zone, and Hines Ward was back there, and he had a linebacker on him. Ronnie Jones incomplete. Second down and goal. Also, they had Hall back there.
You talk about recovery speed. It's a nice job by Leon Hall. He gets beat early on the slant route by Hines Ward, but it's a nice job catching back up and extending his body, diving, knocking down that little slant throw intended for Hines Ward.
Now a 6th defensive back has been brought in by Cincinnati. Second down, goal at the 3. 2 tights and Moore in the backfield. There's Ward in motion. Holmes at his side. That was broken up. Hall again. They were looking for Hines Ward, who was looking for a flag, and he's not going to get it. And so Hall, back-to-back terrific defensive plays in the secondary for Cincinnati.
He might have got there just a split second early. You watch where this throw is. That's pretty good coverage there by Leon
Pretty good
Hall.
timing.
Yep. And, you know, Ben could have been a little bit earlier there. If you wait, you're late. These guys have such good speed on the back end. Both these corners, Jonathan Joseph and Leon Hall, good speed. They do a nice job driving to the ball.
Sims is coming on the defensive line, the rookie for Auburn for Cincinnati. 6 in the backfield, third down and goal at the 3. Timeout taken by Roethlisberger. He burns his second right there. With 51 seconds to play in the first, he's already thrown a touchdown pass of 2 yards. He's moving his Steelers in again. 7-zip Pittsburgh. Roethlisberger has used 2 timeouts on this drive already. 51 seconds to play here in the first. He's already got a touchdown pass of 2 yards to Moore to start the game.
And you can already tell this is a very similar game plan to what they used 2 weeks ago in the Sunday night win over Jacksonville. More of an up-tempo, spread them out. I anticipate, Ben, if this game is close, probably throwing the ball at least 40 times in this game.
Washington is the third receiver. Third down and goal at the 3. The fake to Moore. And they were looking for Miller, and there was coverage on the play by Ndukwe, and they also had Robert Gathers off the edge, off that left defensive end in the grill of Roethlisberger, and so they've got to try for 3 as Cincinnati holds them out after they had first and goal at the 3.
That's a good job, as you said, by Robert Gathers, getting his hands up, making it difficult for Ben Roethlisberger to get that ball up and down.
Reed is in there. Has not missed a field goal this season. Had that calf injury against Jacksonville, and he puts it through and extends the Pittsburgh lead 10-zip over Cincinnati in 42 seconds remaining in the first. A frustrated Roethlisberger. Marvin Lewis, though, a bit happy there because his defense holds him out of the end zone. So a 21-yard field goal by Reed. And the polls have opened. Go now to NFL.com/Pro Bowl and vote for your favorite players for the 2009 NFL Pro Bowl in Hawaii. You vote, they play exclusively at NFL.com/Pro Bowl.
Well, we talked about in the open about what Cincinnati has to do to win, and I think that Bob Britkowski, the offensive coordinator for Cincinnati, is in a tough spot. They're down. He wants to have a somewhat aggressive but conservative plan when you keep in mind that Ryan Fitzpatrick is a young guy. He's making just his 6th career start. But I really think you have to take the training wheels off. You have to open this thing up and take the fight to the Steelers. Attack, throw the ball around a little bit, and then that will open up some opportunities later in this game to be able to run the football.
And you can see right there the 0-6 start, something that the Bengals are kind of used to, almost double the team in second place on that graphic. Caldwell is deep back, and Reed will kick off for the Pittsburgh Steelers. 7 consecutive wins for Pittsburgh here in Cincinnati, and Caldwell will go to a knee and leave it in the end zone, so they'll get the touchback. And it's out to the 20-yard line, and we'll get to see Fitzpatrick for a 3rd time, who is from Harvard. He was the Ivy League Player of the Year. He played at Harvard from 2001 through 2004. He threw for over 5,000 yards and had 39 touchdown passes. 7th round pick by St. Louis. He was traded to Cincinnati before the beginning of last season. Didn't play last year because of Carson Palmer and his Ironman streak. Now that Palmer is out, Fitzpatrick is the guy. They haven't thrown to Chad Johnson yet. 1st and 10. They start this third drive at their 20-yard line. That's Hushmanzada on the move. And Coates is the fullback in the backfield. Here comes Harrison. Yep, he's holding on, and Harrison comes up with another sack. He gobbles up Fitzpatrick on a loss of 7. Back at the 13-yard line, sack number 7 for James Harrison, the team MVP a season ago.
And Reggie Kelly, you see the tight end at the top of your screen. He has his hands full today, as does Levi Jones, the left tackle. But Ryan Fitzpatrick, as tough as it is, you got to learn to really step up in the pocket against this Pittsburgh defense. They bring Woodley and Harrison off the edge. It makes it very difficult for quarterbacks in the pocket.
Shea Townsend has come in as an extra defensive back. 2nd down, 17. They need the 30. Chapman has become the extra receiver for Fitzpatrick. And goes outside to Antonio Chapman, the ex-Packer, and he's brought down by Bryant McFadden. It's a gain of 5, and they'll spot the ball at the 17-yard line.
And they're making things difficult for themselves. If you're not successful on 1st down against this Pittsburgh defense, it's going to be a long day. If you give Dick LeBeau lots of these situations, these 2nd and longs and these 3rd and 12s, he is going to heat you up with all his fire zones.
Roethlisberger's got a 2-yard touchdown pass in Cincinnati in an early hole. We start the 2nd quarter with Cincinnati facing 3rd down and 12. They've got Henry and Chapman as the 2 extra receivers, 4 altogether. Shea Townsend is the nickel back for Pittsburgh. And from the 18-yard line, Watson at the side of Fitzpatrick. He got away from Harrison. That's dropped by Henry, and there was pressure up the middle, and that was applied by Lamar Woodley. Coverage by Ferrier. Boy, they come at you in streams, and so they got a punt. The Bengals do once again for the 3rd consecutive time.
And this is going to be a problem for Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's not the tallest guy. I think he struggles at times with his vision in the pocket. I mean, he told us the other day, it's tough seeing over some of these offensive linemen. Andrew Whitworth, their left tackle, is 6'7".
Last punt by Larson sailed 15 yards. Holmes is back inside his own 40-yard line for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
There we go.
He got this one off. And Santonio Holmes from the 32-yard line for Pittsburgh. He's got 1 punt return touchdown in his career, and he's out to the 43, and he's brought down on the play by the long snapper, Brad St. Louis. 50-yard punt, 14:38 in the 2nd. After the Larson 50-yard punt, 44-yard line, here comes Roethlisberger, 10-0 in the state of Ohio. He's a starting quarterback against Cleveland and Cincinnati in his NFL career. It's 1st down and 10. Nickel secondary for the Bengals with Jones. Washington is the 3rd wide receiver. Good block by Starks. Going deep. They're looking for Holmes, and incomplete the coverage by the aforementioned nickelback Jones. It'll be 2nd down and 10. And you've always said that you think the longer that Roethlisberger is the quarterback, the more ownership he gets in this offense of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, he has evolved, and that, the departure of Alan Faneca, and now in his 5th season, I think he's assumed more of a leadership role with his football team. And he reached out to some defensive players, and I think that's smart. I wish I would have done that, but he said it's already starting to pay dividends for him. You see him right now; they're in this empty, no back set, 5 receivers out. They really like this. Ben Roethlisberger does a good job reading the coverage and getting the ball out very quickly.
Go outside. One of those split receivers was Moore, brought down by Ndukwe near the 50-yard line. Moelde Moore making a start today for the injured Willie Parker. It's a gain of 6 on the play at about the 50-yard line.
Keep an eye on Ben Roethlisberger today at the line of scrimmage. You're going to see him sometimes get up from center and shake his hand off. What they do is they call 2 plays either at the huddle or at the line of scrimmage. Ben takes a look at it, and if it's not the play or it's not the look that they want, he'll kill it. He'll kill it to the 2nd play. It makes it easier. It's easier than audible, and the offensive players already know what the 2nd play is.
Jackson is coming as a safety. And there is a
false start, offense.
False start.
Number 72, 5-yard penalty. It's third down.
That's those offensive guards a little jumpy now. We had one on Kimiatu earlier, now Stapleton.
Darnell Stapleton taking the place, of course, of Kendall Simmons, who tore an Achilles. Second career start this afternoon. He was a starting center at Rutgers. He's a second-year player.
And that's really when you talk with Mike Tomlin last night. He said where we're better this year is we have good depth in a lot of places. And I think particularly that offensive line, you see those guys filling in. Max Starks making a start at left tackle today for Marvell Smith.
Third down and 9. Now they got White taking the place of Jackson at the safety. Here comes the blitz. They go outside, caught by Ward, and that is blown dead in mid-motion.
Before the ball was snapped, delay of game, offense, 5-yard penalty. It's third down.
3rd and 14.
Yeah, you don't give yourself a chance. You have a false start, and then you have a delay of game. And Ben Roethlisberger, too good of a player and a veteran guy like that to make that mistake. But you saw right there, you talked earlier, Kevin, about the fact that they can't generate. It's one of the glaring flaws with this defense right now for Cincinnati. They can't generate any pressure with that front four, and that's why you're seeing more of the safety blitzes and these linebackers, particularly late in the count.
Nichols secondary, 3rd and 14. They need the 46-yard line of Cincinnati. Moore at the side of Roethlisberger. Miller was in that clump at the bottom of your screen. Good time for Big Ben. He throws incomplete. They were looking for Ward, and the coverage was by Leon Hall. So Roethlisberger, who has thrown today 8 of 15, will watch his team punt again.
It's a good job at the line of scrimmage by Leon Hall, jamming Hines Ward, disrupting him. And this whole system is based on timing and rhythm in the passing game. You see Ben Roethlisberger there is expecting Hines Ward to be in a location he simply wasn't.
Berger with a terrific punt. Back to the 7-yard line goes Antonio Chapman. And brought down the play by Najee Davenport and Warren, the long snapper. It's a 7-yard return. It's a 51-yard punt. And a beauty by Berger. Penalty flag has been thrown. Berger in that game against Jacksonville a couple Sundays ago averaged 49 yards against the Jaguars. And he's been around. He's taken the place of the injured Daniel Sepulveda, who blew out a knee in preseason. So they got Berger, 13 years out of Colorado. And Ed Hockley is our referee.
During the return, illegal block in the back by the receiving team, number 59. It's half the distance to the goal. Cincinnati keeps the ball, first down.
So a penalty, and it's right there, as you can plainly see. It's on Brandon Johnson. Timeout.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% on car insurance. CareerBuilder.com. Start building. And by McDonald's. Play Monopoly at McDonald's.
After that Pittsburgh punt, here is Cincinnati with their 4th possession today. 3 consecutive 3-and-outs, as you can see, from the 1st and 10. They got Coates as a fullback for Benson in the backfield. Regular 3-4 defense for the Pittsburgh Steelers as Hushmanzada on the move. And here is Benson out of the University of Texas. He's clogged up in the middle, looks like Hoke. Along with some others on that defensive line. Kiesel was in there too, making the stop. Ferrier coming up on the Sprint halftime report. Join JP, Dan, Shannon, and the gang for latest news, scores, highlights. From New York, the Sprint halftime report coming up next. They got to the 9 on that play, so it is 2nd down and 9. Now Benson by himself in the backfield. 2 tight ends, including Kelly and Coates. Outside it goes. This is Chad Johnson having one of his worst seasons statistically. It was knocked out of bounds on the play by Clark. He's up to the 16-yard line. He picks up 6 on the play. Our first trip to New York, and JB.
Kevin and Rich, St. Louis showing a lot of fight with Jim Haslett at the helm. Steven Jackson, 2nd rushing touchdown of the day. Rams on top of the Cowboys, 21-7 that is in the second. And San Diego leading Buffalo 7-3 in that one. Ryan Lindell of Buffalo missed a 55-yarder. Let's take it back to Kevin Harlan and Rich Gannon.
You got it, JB. Thank you. 3rd down and 2. Nichols secondary now for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Here is Fitzpatrick. Here comes Harrison, held off by Levi Jones, chased by Kiesel and by Harris, and he throws it away. They had Timmons, the nickel linebacker, going stride for stride with Kenny Watson. Here is another 3 and out, and here come the boos cascading down on the winless Bengals. 4th consecutive 3 and out.
Well, as you said, 12 plays, just 18 yards. You see him struggling there a little bit with his vision. Kevin, time of possession is going to be an issue. They have not enough possessions, not enough with them. They're averaging 19.8 per drive. That's the fewest, and time of possession the lowest in the AFC right now.
Larson to punt. Again.
Bad punt again. Jeez.
Santonio Holmes will let it bounce, and it will just get inside Pittsburgh territory and out of bounds about the 47-48 yard line, a 37-yard boot. You're right, a poor punt by the 5-year veteran Kyle Larson. Roethlisberger's got a touchdown pass, and that's been it. Not only ball control for Pittsburgh, but look where they've started from the Cincinnati 30, the 44-yard line in their own territory, and now from the 48 on their last 3 possessions. With a couple tight ends, Spaeth and Miller, first down and 10. That's Ward in motion. Moore's in the backfield. Good block by Cologne. That will carve out some yards. Pecco makes the stop on Moore. It's a gain of 6, and he's down to the 46-yard line.
The thing I like about this Pittsburgh offense, they lose their top 2 running backs. Versus Jacksonville, they were able to come out. They threw it for 239 yards in the first half, and so that tells me they have the ability to shift gears. And not a lot of offenses can do that, but you see Bruce Arians there. They have the flexibility because of all that Ben Roethlisberger can do at the line of scrimmage.
McHugh, the other tight end / fullback, is back there with Moore. 2nd down and 4. 4 in the secondary for the Cincinnati Bengals, and here is Roethlisberger. Pro Bowler a season ago with 32 touchdown passes. Moore, good block by McHugh. Then as he was undercut by Jonathan Joseph, a #1 pick a couple years ago. It's a gain of 2, and he's down to the 44-yard line.
Well, this is the defense that was 27th a year ago. That's why most of the attention this offseason was focused on this defense. They brought in a new defensive coordinator, Mike Zimmer. They go out and draft Keith Rivers in the 1st round. They signed Antoine Odom from Tennessee, and I really think they're getting better. It's going to be it's a process like anything else. It takes time. You see Mike Zimmer there. He likes these young players. They've gotten better each and every time out.
Spaeth has come in, so 2 tight ends. McHugh remains in the backfield. 3rd down and 2. No changes defensively for the Bengals. Play action, and here's a quick pass outside from Red Wing. What a beautiful play by Jonathan Joseph. 2 nice plays on that drive. Jonathan Joseph, 1st-round pick 3 years ago out of South Carolina. He missed some time early in the year with a sprained ankle, but back hale and hearty right now. And here's a 3 and out for the Steelers. They got a punt.
And what did Mike Tomlin tell us about this Bengals defense? They're taking care of the things that require no talent. They're flying around. They're running to the ball. They're playing with a lot of effort and energy. And I think you're starting to see that tackle right there.
Here's Berger, who came up a little bit lame on that last punt, and they had to take a look at him over on the trainer's table and back of the bench. He back is Chapman, who's got 1 punt return touchdown in his career, and this baby will end up in the end zone. So to the 20-yard line. 4 consecutive 3 and outs by Cincinnati. They'll begin it at their 20 right here. That punt sailed 45 yards. We've got 9:40 in the half.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Cisco. Welcome to the Human Network. And by Nissan, who invites you to shift the way you move through the world.
Chris Henry becomes the 3rd receiver on this 5th possession by Cincinnati from their 21st down and 10. 3 and out moments ago by Pittsburgh. Roethlisberger's 2-yard touchdown pass. The only touchdown in the game, and on 1st and 10, here comes Fitzpatrick going deep, looking for Henry, and knocked away by Taylor. What a terrific defensive play. Ike Taylor, 4th-round pick from Louisiana Lafayette, a 4-year starter with a terrific move against a much taller and angular Chris Henry. 2nd and 10 coming up.
And look who jumps. I mean, who's being the more athletic player there? I mean, Chris Taylor or Chris Henry, or Ike Taylor or Chris Henry. I mean, Chris Henry has to go up and get the ball at its highest point. You can't let Ike Taylor out-jump you.
Now Chapman has come in for Henry. Reggie Kelly is in the backfield as a fullback. 2nd down and 10. Benson continues to be in there in the starting role in place of the ineffective Chris Harris. And this is Benson. Harrison fights off a block and goes in there to be among many that make the stop. Timmons was in there as well with the stop. It's a gain of 2, and Benson is out to the 22-yard line. Well, in case you haven't heard the news, Inside the NFL is now on Showtime. Join JB, Phil Simms, Warren Sapp, and Chris Collinsworth for the best highlights, insights, and analysis inside the NFL, only on Showtime. Henry comes back in as one of 3 receivers for Fitzpatrick. Shea Townsend is coming as the nickel back. Timmons remains, 3rd down and 8. Watson offers the block on Ferrier, but Ferrier fights it off and makes the play. Oh, what terrific linebacking work by the former Pro Bowler, James Ferrier. He took the block from Watson, threw him aside, throws him for a loss of 2. It's a sack, back to the 19.
And they don't even block Timmons up top. You see Ryan Fitzpatrick does the next best thing. He just protects the ball, tries to get back to the line of scrimmage. You see James Ferrier, but their zone schemes, they do a good job crowding the line of scrimmage and finding those one-on-one matchups that they really can take advantage of.
Larson gets it away. A fair caught, 35-yard line by Santonio Holmes, a record-setting wide receiver at Ohio State, 45-yard punt. And Roethlisberger will get it once again with this 2-yard touchdown pass, the big play of the game. Well, tomorrow on The Late Show, Dave's got Jack Hanna's Animals, Jessica Simpson, and a top 10 with Robert De Niro and Al Pacino. Don't miss The Late Show all this week on CBS. Pittsburgh takes over at the 35. We've had only really 2 explosive plays, a 29-yard catch and run by Ward, a 32-yard catch by Holmes. That was on the first series of the game. Washington is the 3rd receiver here. Moore in the backfield. No changes defensively for the Cincinnati Bengals on 1st and 10. Good block by Starks. They dump it off to Moore. He is hit on the play by Dexter Jackson, a former Super Bowl, or make it Hall. No, it was Jackson on the play. Jackson, the former Super Bowl MVP for Tampa Bay. Gain of a yard, 36-yard line. Who did the Buccaneers play in that Super Bowl back in the early part of this decade?
I can't even remember.
I can't even remember either.
Well, that counseling I have had over the years to forget it.
Well, it's gone. 2nd down and 9. Miller is one of the 4 receivers out there. Moore is out there as a receiver as well, the running back. And you say he likes this empty backfield.
Yeah, and you know what? He does such a good job previewing it, reading it, and understanding where they are in terms of the protection. The ball does come out very quick.
Into a nickel secondary. Here comes Roethlisberger. He's got his receiver at about the 50-yard line. That is Santonio Holmes, and he wiggles his way for a 1st down to the 49-yard line, brought down by Ndukwe on a 16-yard catch. He's already had a 32-yard reception today. Nice play by Holmes.
And this makes a lot of sense because it forces the Bengals to kind of show their hand. You have 5 receivers out. You're only going to keep 5 in the block. And now if they choose to rush 6, Ben can really see that, kick the ball out quick on a hot throw, and let some of these receivers like Hines Ward make a guy miss and pick up some big yards.
Washington, bottom of your screen. David Jones is the nickel back on 1st and 10 from the 49-yard line. Play action with the big block on the play. The Hartwig goes outside. Holmes with the catch right in front of Jones. And that is down to the 33-yard line. That's a pickup of 16 yards.
And this is what happens when you give a guy like Ben Roethlisberger plenty of time in the pocket with play action. The receiver actually slips and falls down. Santonio Holmes on the sidelines. Ben throws it down and away so he can make the catch on the ground. Great throw, great accuracy by Ben Roethlisberger.
Still the nickel secondary, and Brandon Johnson continues to take the place of the injured Keith Rivers, the starter. It is a 1st down. Miller is one of the 5 receivers, along with Moore, at the disposal of Roethlisberger. That's knocked down by Frosty Rucker. Nice play by Rucker, came off the edge. Player has had some injury problems his first couple years here in Cincinnati. He's out of USC, and he knocks it down right there.
You just see Rucker up the top of your screen, and they bring the linebacker inside, so Max Starks, he winds up having to squeeze down, and it leaves Frosty Rucker alone on the edge to knock that one down.
Little clump there at the bottom of your screen with Miller, Washington, and Ward. 2nd down and 10.
They love these bunch sets right here. They love them.
We're in the backfield and still 5 in the secondary for Cincinnati. This is Moore. Pulling is Miller. Pulling is Cole. Look, he got away, and then he was wrapped up on the play. Nice pursuit. That's Hall who comes in and makes the stop. It's a loss of 4 yards on the play and pushing him back to about the 37-yard line.
And this is good to see because I thought they didn't tackle as well last week. Talking about Cincinnati, particularly on the perimeter, the corners and safeties. This is a good job here, gang tackling, getting a lot of hats to the ball.
Tackling on the perimeter can stop a lot of third down conversions.
Well, this is where they have to be better. They have not done a good job getting off the field on third down. Opponents are converting almost 50% of their opportunities.
Third down and 14. They need the 23. The block by Hartwood. Look at the time for Roethlisberger. Now they collapse inside. He overshoots the tight end Heath Miller across the way at about the 32-yard line, and all kinds of bodies strewn on the field. Boy, they had some great pressure provided on the play. Sims, that's the rookie, a third-round pick out of Auburn, came up the middle. He has some early action with the toe injury, but last couple of weeks they've gotten him in the rotation. So another punting situation coming up for Mitch Berger. Roethlisberger can't get the first down, although there were two nice 16-yard completions to Holmes on that drive. They still have to punt 6 plays, and they'll send it away.
After that first drive, the Bengals defense has really buckled down and played much better.
Berger and Chapman, who has returned every punt and taken every punt this season for Cincinnati. Fair catches at the 7-yard line and a 30-yard punt.
And he fair caught one against the Jets on the 4-yard line last week.
Are they worried that there's going to be English on that ball, and it could even be...
You can't field the ball down, and you got to take your chances.
All right, coming up next on CBS. Some great games, including the Colts taking on the Packers. Brett Favre and the Jets are out west in Oakland, and Cleveland will take on Washington. It's coming up next on CBS. Check local listings for the game in your area from the 8-yard line. It will be 1st and 10. 5 possessions, 5 consecutive 3-and-outs.
Yeah, that's ugly.
I don't think I've seen that before. And if I have, it's been a while. Chapman is the extra receiver, 1st and 10.
This is what they have to do more of. I really think throw the ball, open this thing up a little bit on the early downs.
Chad Johnson run out of bounds by Harrison up to the 14-yard line and a gain of 6 yards.
You know, on paper, in terms of the running game, it's not really a good matchup. They're 31st in rushing, and they're going to face this number 2 run defense in Pittsburgh. And I really think you have to force yourself to be a little bit more aggressive in this game, despite your limitations. I mean, what do you have to lose? They should throw the ball in the early downs. I think you have to take the fight to this Pittsburgh defense.
2nd down and 4. Here is Benson getting a block by Bobby Williams and then being tackled on the play. As they get a first down, listen to the crowd. The tackle was made by Kursky. That's the first down of the game. On that 2nd and 4, he picks up 6, and they move the chains. He's up to the 18-yard line.
And you know, you speak about the crowd, Kevin. We haven't heard the crowd all day, and that's a problem. I mean, if you're Cincinnati, you want to get this crowd involved in the game. Pittsburgh's come in here. They've taken control of the game. They've gotten up 10-0. They've had the ball most of the first half, and they've really taken the crowd right out of this game.
Orpheus Roy is coming as the left defensive end for the Steelers. 1st down and 10. Hushmanzada on the move. Coates in the backfield, the lead blocker for Benson. And he finds a crack again and takes it. He's up to about the 24, 23-yard line, brought down by Ryan Clark. It is a gain of 6.
And you're getting some good movement up front now. You watch that, particularly that left side of that offensive line. Whitworth and Jones, they're big guys, and they have the ability to get some push. And this is good to see. Cedric Benson getting lathered up a little bit, getting him some work, getting him some carries, and getting his confidence up.
Kelly moving off as the wingback and on the fly. 2nd down and 4. Roy remains on the left defensive end, taking the place of Aaron Smith. And take that back. He's taking the place of Kiesel. And here's a handoff to Benson. He was whacked on the play by Polamalu, who plays all over the field. He picks up 3 on 2nd down and 4 and mark him at the 27-yard line.
You talk about Troy Polamalu playing at all different levels. I mean, he's all over the field. And, you know, Dick LeBeau told us he's a coordinator's dream. I mean, he can play down at the line of scrimmage. He can play on that 2nd level. And, of course, he's got great range on the back end in that secondary.
Henry is the 3rd receiver. Nick Eason is coming on the defensive line. Timmons is the nickel linebacker. Deshae Townsend is the nickel. 3rd down, long 1. On the shotgun is Fitzpatrick. Blocked by Levi Jones. Harrison fights through him. There's a catch by Hushmanzada. Another 1st down. Tackle made by Ferrier. You would think this team is ahead and rolling away from the first place. Steelers, the gain to the 32 and a pickup of 5.
An interesting thing when we talked to TJ Hushmanzada on Friday, he said when the ball comes out, when Ryan Fitzpatrick throws it, you don't even see it. He's only 6'2" back there. It's a lot different when Carson is in there. You can actually see the flight of the ball. But T.J. Hushmanzada, since week 3, 32 receptions, the most in the NFL. He has been productive.
Kiesel and Smith back in on the defensive line, 1st and 10 from the 32.
I think you really have to throw the ball in the early downs against this Pittsburgh defense.
Coates is the fullback offering a block on Harrison. Fitzpatrick gets away. There is a flag, and there goes the running quarterback, brought down by Kiesel, who has missed some time with the calf strain, inactive the last 3 games. 7-yard pickup out to the 39.
Holding, offense number 86, 10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
They're dialing up Harrison on the wing as they normally do, and they're trying to get some body on him. And watch this, the tight end converted to a fullback, trying to keep him away.
Now keep in mind, this is Harrison's 2nd sack today. He got one earlier on Reggie Kelly, and of course he gets the holding penalty there with Daniel Coates. I really think they're asking too much. This is a mismatch when you put Coates or Reggie Kelly on James Harrison. You need those tackles, those big guys that really live in that world of pass blocking to be able to handle that responsibility. These other guys are too quick, too powerful off the edge.
Townsend is in, and they've also got Timmons in, 1st and 20, and that is caught by Henry. Boy, was he drilled by Clark. What a hit, but what a catch, a 16-yard pickup, and he's out to the 38-yard line. Chris Henry, of course, suspended for the first 4 games of the year, trying to stay in the good graces with a terrific grab right here. We're at the 2-minute warning with 1:55 to play in the half. 2-minute warning, 38-yard line, 2nd down and 4. Henry just caught a 16-yard pass across the middle and took a wicked hit from Ryan Clark.
That's the pressure right there.
They got the Shea Townsend and Timmons in their nickel defense, and this is a run by Kenny Watson, who weaves his way to the 43. Townsend on the stop, still playing with kind of a bruised heel. It's a gain of 5. He's got a 1st down to the 43. Lining up again. Watson remains. Henry the 3rd receiver. 1st down and 10. Henry on the side catches his 2nd pass on this drive. McFadden makes the grab. An 11-yard strike by Fitzpatrick, taking the place of the injured Carson Palmer to the Pittsburgh 47-yard line.
And you're seeing Ryan Fitzpatrick playing with a lot more confidence right now. I like his footwork. He's trusting the protection. He's sitting in there. He's making good, accurate throws.
This will be the first play the Bengals have run in Steeler territory today. Still the nickel. Still the 3 wide. Watson remains at the side of Fitzpatrick. On the 47-yard line, 1st and 10. That's Hushmanzada on the move. There's a block by Andrews outside Hushmanzada. He breaks a tackle at Taylor. Then here comes Troy Polamalu. A spinning corkscrew move of 12 yards to the 35-yard line. He picks up a 1st down and a timeout taken by the Cincinnati Bengals, who began this drive at their 8. Henry with a couple of nice catches. Hushmanzada gets a 1st down right there. Coming up, the Sprint Halftime Report, which is being put together for you in our CBS studios in New York, featuring JB, Dan, Shannon Boomer, and Coach Bill Cowan. Highlights, news, scores, and more. That's coming up on the Sprint Halftime Report from New York. Once we conclude our first half here, the numbers on this particular drive for Ryan Fitzpatrick.
It looks like a different player, you know. And sometimes when you're struggling, just a simple completion to kind of get you started, get you back in rhythm, and I think we've seen that with him. A little better protection, more time to sit in there and throw, and he's making some good decisions.
They got Kershke and Eason on the defensive line. It's 1st and 10. Henry is the extra receiver. Watson is in the backfield. Townsend is the nickel, and that's what Fitzpatrick will throw into right now. Hit by Harrison as he throws. Caught by Henry again. A great move. He got the matchup he wanted. He worked on Timmons, the linebacker. It's an 18-yard pickup. It's a Cincinnati 1st down at the Pittsburgh 17.
And this is what they haven't had, a lot of production from their 3rd receiver, and you can see Chris Henry's taking advantage of the opportunity. T.J. Hushmanzada, Chad Johnson on the outside lanes, getting a lot of double coverage, allowing Chris Henry to work up on inside on those linebackers and safeties.
Henry comes out. They got Chapman in as the 3rd receiver. Watson remains in the backfield. The nickel defense for Pittsburgh, and
The ruling on the field, a completed pass.
Of course, anything inside 2 minutes is at the disposal of the replay official up here in the press box, and so that's what has happened with 1:14 to play here in the first half. The Bengals took over at their own 8 with 5:24 left. This is the 11th play of the drive coming up. Let's watch feet and let's watch hands.
Whoa, I don't know. He's a long, lanky guy. Looks like he had control of that ball. He was up and plucks it out of the air, trying to pull it back in. Oh, wait a second now.
Oh, I think maybe just because he is so angular, that ball looked like it was loose, but it was
that one angle, right there. You see, it actually hits his thigh. And the ball was moving. Talk about getting another opportunity. There's Chris Henry, and activated a couple weeks ago and starting to feature him more in this offense. And question not whether the ball is moving as he's coming down. Actually, right there, it's out. You can see it's out, but he's got such a great grip. It's like he squeezes it a little bit with his left hand.
Well, I think that's the determination to figure out if he actually has a hand on the ball. Now, there was an interesting call by Hockley and this crew a couple of Monday nights ago when the New Orleans Saints played the Minnesota Vikings, and Reggie Bush had a very similar play, had his hand on the nose of the ball. He had a face mask on the play, which was not called. They ruled it a fumble. So if that is any backdrop to what this call could be, this could be the same type of play. In other words, an incomplete pass, because the ball is moving. See, that's just how Reggie Bush held it a couple Mondays ago down in the Louisiana Superdome. Hockley, who is a Super Bowl official, referee in 32 and Super Bowl 38.
I say they give him the catch.
There is no conclusive proof that the ball ever left the receiver's left hand. Therefore, the ruling on the field stands as called. It was a completed catch for a first down.
So on this
play clock should be reset to 10 seconds. 10 seconds on the play clock.
So on this particular drive, Henry with catches of 10, 18, and 16 yards. 17-yard line. It'll be 1st and 10. Play clock, remember, is at 10 now, so they're going to have to get out of this huddle and get up there in a hurry.
And they usually give them that opportunity to get set before they start the clock.
Chapman has taken the place of Henry on this 1st and 10.
There it is. It started now.
Timmons remains. Deshae Townsend remaining on that defense. Aaron Smith is coming on the defensive line. Here is Fitzpatrick coming in outside, caught by Chad Johnson. He was tripped up on the play by Taylor and thrown down for good measure by Polamalu, who has certainly been a controversial figure over the last couple of weeks. And 9-yard gain. Now 2nd down and 1. Controversial because he has tried to stand up for his teammate Hines Ward, saying that the fines on Ward of recent date have been unjustified. Chris Perry is in the backfield. There's a quick throw outside. That's caught by Chad Johnson. A shove out of bounds by Ike Taylor. That's a gain of 3.
And the best thing Ryan Fitzpatrick is doing right now is he's getting the ball out quick. They're still bringing pressure up the middle, but he's not holding the ball. Watch how quick it's coming out. He's making good decisions, quick decisions, and very accurate throws. The thing you got to keep in mind with if you're Pittsburgh defensively, Ryan Fitzpatrick, very good at pulling the ball down and running, using his legs. That's something that they're very concerned about defensively.
Henry back in the game. Perry at the side of Fitzpatrick. 1st and goal at the 5. Here comes the blitz by Clark to the end zone. Oh, what a great knockover. That is the 2nd time that Taylor has done that today. Got right in front of the receiver, Chad Johnson, and knocked it away.
And the thing you know about Dick LeBeau, he's going to find out about this young quarterback early. He'll probe and test him with different pressures to see if he's got answers.
Because of some technical issues in Orchard Park, New York. Most of you not seeing that game. Buffalo leads it with under a minute to play in the first half, 13-7 over the San Diego Chargers. Fitzpatrick had hit the last 8. Here's a 2nd down and goal at the 5. Same wide receiver alignment. Good block by Andrews to the end zone. Caught for a touchdown. It's Chad Johnson. And he beat Bryant McFadden. That's a 5-yard touchdown pass and the 2nd touchdown reception this season for Chad Johnson.
Well, I tell you what, that was a phenomenal job by Ryan Fitzpatrick. Just watch him sit in there. Sit. Trust the protection. He knows he's going to get hit, and he puts the ball up there where only Chad Johnson can make the catch.
5 consecutive Pro Bowls for Johnson, who asked to be traded this past off season. He's had statistically one of his most disappointing seasons. Here's the extra point, which is put up and through by Dave Rayner. So 36 seconds to play in the half, and winless Cincinnati has come to within 3 of first place Pittsburgh. Steelers coming in at 4-1. Fitzpatrick with his second touchdown pass this season.
Well, the Bengals not going down easy. They're going to hang in there. The defense has played better in the second quarter. They've given their offense some field position, and Ryan Fitzpatrick and this Bengals offense really took advantage of it.
Fitzpatrick, we told you before, was drafted by St. Louis. He's been in the league a handful of years, and he graduated from Harvard, where he was, Fitzpatrick, the Ivy League Player of the Year. And Fitzpatrick, who then went on to marry one of the supreme soccer players in women's soccer in the Ivy League. His wife was an All-America soccer player, and so they take that to St. Louis. Now he's traded to Cincinnati before the beginning of last season. As you take a look at that halftime score of Buffalo and San Diego, and the Bills on top of the San Diego Chargers.
And what did Marvin Lewis tell us? He said he's got to play better, Ryan Fitzpatrick, but we have to play better around him. I think you saw it on that drive. The offensive line did a better job. They got Cedric Benson going a little bit. Of course, TJ and Chad and Chris Henry came up with some big catches on that drive.
Henry was terrific with catches of 18, 16, and 10 yards on that drive. Here's the subsequent kickoff by Dave Rayner. And Najee Davenport from the 3-yard line. He got a block from Spaeth. And then it takes a ton to bring him down across the way. He was hit at about the 23-yard line and whacked by David Jones on a 20-yard return. That touchdown drive you just saw was the longest touchdown drive for Cincinnati since 2006.
Wow.
Began on their 5-yard touchdown pass to Chad Johnson.
They needed that time of possession. Their defense had been out there most of the first half, so they put a good long drive to give their defense a chance to get their legs back a little bit.
And look, they're just going to run out the clock with 30 seconds to play. Cincinnati does have 2 timeouts, and Pittsburgh had 1, and Roethlisberger 2 and So Roethlisberger got things off in a big way with a 2-yard touchdown pass to Melende Moore. Melende Moore caught that. On that drive, there was a 29-yard catch and run by Ward and a 30-yard catch by Holmes. But since that time, they have struggled. Last 3 possessions up until that kneel down were punt, 3 plays, punt, 6 plays, punt. And as Carson Palmer walks off the field with Fitzpatrick, after watching him throw a 5-yard touchdown pass to Chad Johnson, the Bengals have made it an interesting game. At halftime, you're watching the NFL on CBS. Each quarterback has thrown a touchdown pass today here at Paul Brown Stadium in Cincinnati, Ohio, with the reminder that this game is brought to you in high definition here on CBS. Rich Gannon, Kevin Harlan. Pittsburgh kind of let Cincinnati hang around there for a while.
Yeah, that's the problem. They got up to a 10-0 lead early in the first quarter. You thought this game might get out of hand, but then all of a sudden Cincinnati's defense began to turn things around a little bit. They played better, and Ryan Fitzpatrick and this offense got things going on that last drive to kind of finish off the first half, and that was really key. And I felt like his confidence really started to pick up with that throw right there across the middle. A good throw to Chris Henry. He got him involved, but his confidence in the pocket, he sat in there, he trusted the protection, and he made some good, accurate throws. And you look at the first half numbers, I mean, the beginning there, it was one-sided, but the Bengals, they hung in there, they hung around, and they made something happen at the end of the first half.
Pittsburgh Steelers will kick off with Jeff Reed, who already has a field goal today from 21 yards away on their 3rd possession. Deep back is Andre Caldwell, University of Florida's all-time receiving leader. He's been inactive for 5 weeks, but he's playing today from the 2-yard line. This is Caldwell taking the place of the injured Glenn Holt. And he runs into his own blocker, Pecco, and then it's brought down. Tyrone Carter's over there. Lawrence Timmons is over there. It's an 18-yard return. Think about the confidence now of this young Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Well, yeah, and that's what you need. And I think the other thing is, as we talked about, being aggressive. I hope they continue to be aggressive in the second half. Let this guy play. Let him throw it around a little bit, particularly on those early downs. Think about where all the big plays have gone. This used to be a big play football team, and a lot of them came off the play action. And when you're not running the ball, it's difficult to generate a lot of big plays down the field off the play action game.
Benson in the backfield with Coates as the fullback in motion as Hushmanzada. They go outside quickly to T.J. Hushmanzada, a Pro Bowl season ago. Reading it well was Ike Taylor. No gain, maybe a gain of 2 on the play, up to the 22-yard line as you take a look at the first half possessions of the Bengals.
It was ugly until that last one there. 14 plays, 92 yards. They were efficient. They spread the ball around. I felt like they picked up the pace and the tempo a little bit. They're in and out of the huddle quicker, and they're getting the line of scrimmage and giving Ryan Fitzpatrick some time.
Second down 8. Benson remains in the backfield. That's the tight end coach / fullback in motion. And here comes Benson, blocked by Williams. A nice tackle inside as he works his way to about the 24-yard line, hit by Chris Hope, taking the place of Casey Hampton. It's a gain of a yard. He's up to the 23-yard line. They have started the third quarter. The Chargers have the ball. They're trailing 13-7 in Orchard Park, New York. About 12 minutes to play in the third quarter. Power issues there, technical problems within the stadium. Third down and 7. Nickelback is Townsend. Lawrence Timmons comes in the game. Chapman is a receiver. Watson is back there with Fitzpatrick. Here comes Timmons. Fitzpatrick moves up. He's got to get to the 30, and he's got a first down. Scrambling his way, weaving his way, brought down by Harrison. Picks up 11 on third down and 7, and has a Bengal first down.
And this was one of the concerns. When you pressure, when you bring the blitz, you have to have someone peel off. They don't do a very good job of it here. And Ryan Fitzpatrick senses the pressure, steps up, and this is what he can do. This is how he can really hurt you with his legs. Pretty good athlete back there.
2 tight ends, 1st and 10. Benson is in. Fake to Cedric. Fitzpatrick, here comes Hope. Hits the deck hard, does Fitzpatrick, at about the 36-yard line on a gain of about 3.
See, you get a good look there at Chris Hoke and filling in for the injured Casey Hampton. And it really starts up front with this, with a 34 defense. You need a great nose tackle, someone who can hold up in the running game, can kind of anchor that front and provide some push and collapse that pocket. They get both of that, not only with Chris Hoke, but Casey Hampton as well when they get him back next week.
Nickel defense for the Steelers. 2nd down and 7. They empty the backfield, and in motion goes Benson. Quick throw, caught by Hushmanzada. He was grabbed on the play by Lawrence Timmons, the #1 pick a year ago out of Florida State. On a gain of 5, he's up to the 41-yard line.
Well, we talked about trusting the protection. When you broke down the film last week and you looked at Ryan Fitzpatrick, one of the problems is he was quick. Pretty good protection here. He needs to step up inside and set his feet and deliver the football. Too often times he was flushed, he got out to his right and tried to have some vision, and that really hurt him. Today you're seeing a better job sitting in there, trusting the protection and making good, accurate throws.
3rd down and 2. Henry came in, nickel defense. Here comes Harrison, and Fitzpatrick loses his way, and he's sacked back at about the 27-yard line. Harrison had a first half sack. He has his second. He throws him for a 13-yard loss to the 28.
And this is what you have to realize. This isn't the Ivy League anymore. I mean, these guys are phenomenally good athletes, and they can tackle. They're quick. They get upfield, and James Harrison is not going to miss too many quarterbacks like that. You got to throw the ball away. 2nd team Pro Bowler. All-Pro in a Pro Bowler a season ago for the first time in just his first year starting. Here is Antonio Holmes on the punt by Larson. 39-yard punt. St. Louis makes the tackle. 11-yard return. Here comes Big Ben in Pittsburgh. Six plays punt by Cincinnati to start the second half. And here's the first second half possession by Roethlisberger. He's got that 3rd receiver, Washington, out there from the 45. Nickel secondary, Morelli Moore. He got by Ndukwe. He gets a great downfield block from Washington. Boy, do they block well in Pittsburgh. Run out of bounds across the way by Jones. A 24-yard scamper.
They'll spot him at the 31-yard line.
And you just watch the missed tackle in Duquay, and nice job by Moelde Moore kicking out of it. But the perimeter players, look at them block. The wide receivers block here in the running game. I mean, you can't play here in Pittsburgh if you don't block in the running game. Both these guys, Santonio Holmes, Hines Ward, Nate Washington, they all do such a great job of it.
Nickel remains. Miller, one of the wide receivers, as is Moore. It's 1st and 10 from the 31. Hartwig the snap. That's Moore. He's grabbed by Dexter Jackson at the 26-yard line with a quick pickup of 5 for Moelde Moore, 5 years out of Tulane.
And again, they're going to call plays here in a little sugar huddle at the line of scrimmage. Makes it real difficult for the defensive coordinator, Mike Zimmer, to dial, first of all, not to make any substitutions. The other thing is, makes it difficult for him to dial up blitzes.
2nd down and 5. Nickel defense by Cincinnati. Washington wide to the bottom of your screen. Ward is in the slot. Moore, great block by Stapleton. The run is down to the 20-yard line. Tackle was made by Gathers on a gain of 5. Darnell Stapleton shoving people out of the way with a good move right there at that right guard position.
And the Steelers have done a good job on 1st down. It gives them options. On 2nd and 5, you have some options. You can either run the ball, some play action, some quick 3-step. It really gives Bruce Arians, the offensive coordinator, a lot of choices when he looks down at his play sheet.
Got a 1st down, did more on that run. He's back there by himself. 1st and 10 from the 20-yard line of Cincinnati. Pittsburgh's first second-half possession. Roethlisberger throws. Holmes can't get it. A little bit outside. Jones was covering on the play, and the pressure came up the middle from Antoine Odom. I'll tell you what, Roethlisberger gets hit about as much as any quarterback in the NFL.
Well, that's part of the problem right now. I mean, he had 19 sacks through 5 games. It's too many, and I think usually it's a combination of things. A better play along the offensive line. They've had some injuries at their running back, as well as a quarterback, really, who has a tendency sometimes to hold the football.
5 defensive backs, 2nd down, 10. No sacks today, by the way, given up on that Pittsburgh offense. Moore and Miller become receivers. 2 of 5 out there, deployed by Ben Roethlisberger. Came out to a block. There's Miller, the tight end, grabbed by Duquay, and then game tackle at about the 12-yard line. Heath Miller, a terrific blocker and player. ACC all-time tight end record holder, 7-yard gain.
And when I first saw this graphic, I was shocked. I mean, you look at that, 111 times. I mean, that's the most since 2006. And you look at Carson Palmer there, and what happens is the hits, the hurries, and the sacks begin to take their toll on quarterbacks.
Still the 5 in the secondary. 3rd down and 3 more by himself in the backfield. Washington is at the bottom of your screen, and Hines Ward is in the slot. Looks like Ben's changing the play.
Look at that communication. The crowd noise, a little bit of an issue now, hearing what he's saying.
You see the play clock. Here is Moore, blocked by Stapleton, held off the edge. What a block by Stapleton. What a run by Moelde Moore. His 2nd touchdown today. A 13-yard sprint. Darnell Stapleton with a terrific block on the edge opens the door for Moore.
And what you have to do is you have to be able to contain Antoine Odom. He has to get outside. He can't let that run get outside him. He has to force it back up inside where he has help from the linebackers as well as the safeties.
Moelde Moore with his first touchdown run of the season. Extra point by Reed makes it 17-7. Earlier on that drive, Moore had a 24-yard run with another block by Stapleton. Here he gets the edge, closes it up, opens it up for Moore, and he's in for 6.
The NFL on CBS.
Pittsburgh on their first second-half possession, showing Cincinnati, who's in first place by 2 games in this AFC North. A 13-yard touchdown run by Moelde Moore. Also a 24-yard run on that drive. Here is Reed to kick off to Caldwell. One of the things which has improved for the Steelers this year have been their coverage units on both punts and kickoffs this season.
Well, you talk about being sound in all 3 phases of the game. They've always been very good in the kicking game.
comes Reed with the boot. Caldwell from the 6. Blocked by Coates. Foot race. Madison is on his tail. Reed got in there, clogged it up. Tyrone Carter and William Gay were in there too. A 36-yard return. And that ball is out to the 43-yard line. Great beginning field position for the Cincinnati Bengals. As you take a look at that scoring drive. From the 43-yard line, 1st and 10. Best beginning field position. Kelly is wide to the bottom of your screen. He is your tight end. Benson in the backfield. Coates will block. Here's a block by Bobby Williams. Outside, Cedric Benson. Got away from Hope. Brought down by Polamalu along with James Ferrier. That's a catcher on a 10 and a very close to a 1st down yardage on the play. He's to the 47-yard line. It looks like he may have it.
A little simple throw, but a nice job by Cedric Benson setting up the ball, making a nice cut back inside and getting north and south.
Benson was the number 4 overall pick a handful of years ago after winning the Doak Walker Award down at the University of Texas, and he is a record setter and a nice addition. He was just signed. It's interesting to watch how these running backs have come and gone. They had Johnson, who was let go in the preseason. They settled for Perry, who had not played last year, or not until 06 because of a dislocated ankle. He had an average of 2.6 a carry. Then they signed Benson off the street. He comes in now. He starts today.
I think it speaks volumes of really where they are as an offense. I mean, you signed a guy a couple weeks ago. Now he's coming in. He's being your featured back. That tells you a little bit the problems that they've had offensively in terms of running the ball with any type of consistency.
Now 2 tight ends. They're at the top of your screen. They did get the 1st down to the 47-yard line of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Benson remains. Blocked by Whitworth. And a dive inside. Harrison makes the tackle. Gain of 5 to the Pittsburgh Steelers 42-yard line.
They've gotten back to basics, and it all starts in the running game, and that's what they need. They need it, particularly with a young quarterback. And Cedric Benson is a guy that they feel could be a little bit like Rudy Johnson, a powerful runner, a downhill runner, a physical guy. And that's what they've been missing here the first 5 or 6 weeks of the season. But, you know, Bob Bratkowski told us we've gotten back to basics this week. They spent most of Monday self-scouting and going through the cut-ups, and they've scaled down the plan this week and to get more reps. That's what they felt they needed, particularly with a new back like Cedric Benson, Ryan Fitzpatrick. They need reps. In fact, Kevin, you and I watched on Friday them running routes versus air, something that you normally would see a team do early in the week.
Coates came out with an injury. 2nd down and 5. Fitzpatrick with the play action to Benson, moving up nicely in the pocket and underthrows his intended receiver, Chad Johnson. And Clark went flying over him.
Boy, when you have him this wide open, you have to hit him. I mean, this is one to look at in the film tomorrow. It'll make them sick. Good protection. Look at this hole. Nice route. Nice, good flat angle coming out of the break, and you can just see the frustration by Chad Johnson. To make matters worse, he gets a knee to the head.
Okay, they brought in Deshae Townsend. They have also brought in William Gay. Timmons is not in as that nickel linebacker. 3rd down and 5. Henry is one of the 4 receivers. Watson at the side of the quarterback, Fitzpatrick. Guns a pass, caught by Hushmanzada, got by Gay, stiff arms his way into Clark and takes it down to the 23-yard line. Brought down by Ryan Clark. 19-yard catch and run by the Pro Bowler, T.J. Hushmanzada. 1st and 10, Cincinnati.
And the difference has been they've had success on the early downs. 3rd and 4s, 3rd and 5s, you could convert them. Shorter routes, the ball comes out quick, and now you get a guy like T.J. Hushmanzada, who's athletic, who's very good in the open field, who can make people miss.
Back to the base defense for the Pittsburgh Steelers. 1st down and 10 from the Steeler 23. Benson in the backfield. Go off for a block. Outside, wide open, Chad Johnson. Drilled on the play by McFadden. The gain to the 16. 7-yard pickup. Johnson has caught a touchdown pass today for Cincinnati.
Boy, the quick game has really been good for them now. The ball is coming out quick. 3-step, quick 5-step throws, 1 hitch, and the ball is coming out. And that's frustrating this Pittsburgh defense. They can't get home. They can't get the pressures home to Ryan Fitzpatrick.
2 tight ends. Lowry is now the 2nd tight end with Coates injured. 2nd down and 3. Kelly, the lead block for Benson. And he'll pound his way near the 15-yard line and a gain of about a yard. Which will bring up now 3rd down and about 2. A guy like that has some problems off the field and trying not only to get his football life, his Cedric Benson, back on track, but his personal life on track.
Well, you know what you have to realize, this is an opportunity, and you can't waste the opportunity. What a great experience! What a privilege it is to play in the National Football League.
3rd down and 2. Watson in the backfield. Extra receiver is Chapman. Timmons is in as the nickel linebacker. And here's Watson. He got it, and Timmons makes the tackle. He'll be close to a 1st down and a gain of a yard, probably to the 14-yard line, and maybe even a yard shy. So now, an interesting decision coming up for Marvin Lewis. His team is winless. We're late in the 3rd. He's going to be faced with 4th down. It looks like about a yard.
Well, when you're 0-6, you got to go for it. And, you know, it's interesting. Anytime you're around the Bengals facility, all the players speak so highly of Kenny Watson. I remember talking to Carson Palmer. They like Kenny Watson. I'm surprised he hasn't gotten more opportunities in this offense. Every time he's had a chance to play, he's done pretty well.
Well, he had a career year, did Watson, a season ago. Had a team-high 7 rushing touchdowns. And they're just inches short. Your guess is, like mine, that they're going to go for it. And here comes the offense. Benson will come out there. They'll bring out Daniel Coates, who is, I guess, shaken off the injury. He'll come back into the game. What's a good call here, Rich?
You know what? I think you got to you cut down the splits. You talk to that offensive line up front. You say, listen, we're going to run the ball right downhill, and we're going to get Daniel Coates to lead the way, and we're going to hand the ball to Cedric Benson. We're going to call our best short yardage run. Mano a mano right here.
Benson is in. Coates will be the lead back. 34 defense by the Pittsburgh Steelers. 4th and a short 1. With Kelly in motion, the quarterback keeper by Fitzpatrick. And at least with the officials are running, they got the 1st down to the 13-yard line. His progress was enough, and they're going to spot it. It is a 1st down.
He's young enough he can do that.
He had a quarterback keeper last week against the Jets in the Meadowlands for a touchdown.
I like Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's a tough guy. He's a smart player, and you could just tell when we visited with him on Friday, he was gaining confidence. They're really put in a bad situation. That first game, he didn't really know he was going to start until Friday, but he's gotten better each and every time out.
2 tight ends, 9th play of the drive, 1st and 10 from the 12. Benson is in, outside they go. This is Chad Johnson. Undercut by McFadden. He's near the 5. Mark him out at the 6, and he picks up 6 yards.
And what you're seeing Brian McFadden as well as Ike Taylor. They're playing all. Look how far off they are in coverage. I mean, that is far because they are concerned with the speed of T.J. Hushmanzada and Chad Johnson. They don't want to get beat. They want to keep everything in front of them. I think there's a lot of opportunities to throw that ball underneath.
Couple receptions on this drive by Chad Johnson. One of 7 yards, right there of 6 yards. 3rd, make it 2nd down and a short 4 from the 6. Fitzpatrick will roll. Woodley just shut the door. There was no place to go. In fact, in back of Woodley, they had foot. Loss of 3. Poor play call, and he is back to the 8.
A little quick there. Looks like there's a little bit of confusion with the fake. Regardless, and that's going to happen with a new back, Cedric Benson, but you got to trust it. There might have been an opportunity in the back of the end zone. Worst case scenario, you throw it away.
Henry is in, one of 3 Cincinnati receivers. In the backfield is Kenny Watson. Deshae Townsend is the nickel back. 3rd down and 5 for Cincinnati. Timmons is in as the nickel linebacker. Fitzpatrick, here comes Harrison. There's the pass, he threw it away, looking for Watson, covered by the linebacker, Timmons. So it's 4th down, and they'll have to settle for 3, and the Pittsburgh Steelers defense does a pretty good job keeping them out.
Bend but don't break. Only rush 4 there, dropped 7 in coverage. See Mike Tomlin there, and you can see a little bit of Mike Tomlin's influence, particularly in the red zone. They mixed in some of that 2-deep Tampa coverage and just rushing 4, dropping 7 in coverage.
Here's Dave Rayner taking the place of the injured Shane Graham. This is a 26-yard field goal try. Holding the punter, Larson, and he drills it. 7-point game. 43-yard kickoff return by Caldwell. 19-yard catch by T.J. Hushmanzada, then the subsequent field goal. It is a beautiful day in Cincinnati. Gorgeous Paul Brown Stadium. With 17-10 ball game. A field goal moments ago by Dave Rayner at 26 yards, capping a 12-play drive just under 6 minutes. Big plays on that drive. The rookie Caldwell with that 43-yard kickoff return really eased things and gave them more options on offense. So now Pittsburgh, who has scored in their only second half drive on a 13-yard touchdown run by Muwelde Moore, will have Najee Davenport back at the goal line.
Well, Muwelde Moore has been nice to have. You know, you think about the injury to Rashard Mendenhall, Willie Parker not available. Muwelde Moore has stepped in there the last couple weeks and played at a very high level.
And Rayner the Booty has great hang time in his kickoffs from the 2-yard line. This is Davenport. Lead block by Tyrone Carter. And Hebert grabs him across the way. Kyrus Hebert, who played in the Canadian Football League, a 27-yard return. He's out to the 28. Another look at Ben Roethlisberger. 2:31 in the third.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by the KFC $10 Challenge. Life tastes better with KFC. And by Frost Brewed Coors Light. When the mountains turn blue, your beer is as cold as the Rockies.
The Bengals open up in a nickel because Washington is the third receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers. After the field goal, subsequent kickoff, first down and 10, the fake to Moore. Dumping outside to Hines Ward, who is grabbed by Hall on the play, and he maneuvers to the 36-yard line. He picks up 7 yards. Well, Thursday on Survivor, could two of the most difficult challenges ever cause someone to quit? It's a new Survivor. Thursday on CBS. It's second down and 3. Sims is on the defensive line for Cincinnati. And Muwelde Moore getting a block from Stapleton and Hartwig, and clogged up in the middle. Looks like Antoine Oda makes the stop after a gain of 2 to the 38. To our CBS studios in JB.
Kevin and Rich, San Diego has won 6 of the last 8 meetings with the Bills, but Buffalo is battling right back here, taking the lead on this Marshawn Lynch 9-yard run to pay dirt, capping a 9-play 78-yard drive, 20-14 Buffalo. Start of the fourth. Back to Kevin and Rich.
Buffalo coming off that bye. They're 4-1. Thank you, JB. 38-yard line, 3rd and 1. Still the nickel, still the 3 wide. It's Moore. Oh, they plug him up. Gathers and Brandon Johnson. And Sims, the rookie. That's the second time today Cincinnati's defense has stuffed the Steelers on 3rd and 1. They got a punt.
And keep in mind now that Pittsburgh, without their fullback Kerry Davis, without Willie Parker, and that's really where it shows up sometimes, short yardage and goal line situations.
3 and out. Here's the punt by Berger. Oh, the rush came on. Hebert, no flag as the punter went down, and here is Chapman at the other end. Warren got him along with Spaeth and Harrison. 36-yard punt. 32 seconds in the third. Cincinnati will get it down by 7.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Low fares, no hidden fees. TD Ameritrade, the independent spirit. And by The Fit, new from Honda. The Fit is go.
Chapman is the third receiver from the 26-yard line. Cincinnati 1st and 10 after the Pittsburgh punt. Timmons out there as the nickel backer, and they've also got Deshaun Townsend as the 5th DB. Fitzpatrick, oh, that's tapped by Harrison, almost picked off by Timmons. What an active defense of these Pittsburgh Steelers. It'll be 2nd down and 10.
Tell you what, James Harrison is a problem. I mean, I'm telling you, he's a problem for this football team right now. You got to be firm. You watch the bottom screen. the left tackle, Levi Jones, you have to be more aggressive. When he jumps up like that, I hate to say this, you got to go in there at his ribs. You got to get his hands down so that a guy like Ryan Fitzpatrick can have a lane to kick it wide.
No changes as you see the same number of yards between Roethlisberger and Fitzpatrick. Second down and 10. Hishmanzada on the move. Benson picked up by Timmons. There's a little block there by Kelly, and he gets out to the 34-yard line. And Clark was also there to meet him. Gain of 7 yards on the play. That may do it for this third quarter. It'll be 3rd and 3 when we come back. 13-yard touchdown run in this third quarter by Mewelde Moore, and then there's a 26-yard field goal moments ago by the field goal kicker Rayner. Back after this, you're watching the NFL on CBS. We start the fourth quarter with a 3rd and 3 from the 33-yard line. Lowry is the angular tight end, bottom of your screen. Motion is Hishmanzada, nickel defense. Watson with the block on foot. That's a catch made by Hishmanzada. Should have the first down. A gain of 5 on the play. Hit by Ferrier. Hit by Harrison. Gain of 5 to the 38. And a Cincy first down.
Well, the Bengals have had 6 third down situations here in the second half. All 3rd and 5 or less. Now they're converting right now about 35% of the third down situations. But when you're 3rd and 5 or less, that number jumps up to about 55%.
Chapman is the 3rd receiver. 1st and 10 from the 38. Polamalu playing deep safety here. Outside, Chapman. Lead block out there by Andrews, and fighting through all that debris was Ferrier on a gain of 3. The tackle at the 40, back to JB in New York.
Kevin and Rich, what has gotten into St. Louis? What elixir has Jim Haslett used? This 56-yard run to pay dirt by Steven Jackson, his 3rd touchdown of the day, 16 carries, 117 yards. The Rams had 62 points coming into today. They've got 31 today, 31-7. Kevin and Rich.
Jackson held out most of camp, and boy, he's having a terrific resurgence here in the middle of the season.
I'll tell you what's gotten into them. People are playing for the jobs up there in St. Louis.
Good point. 2nd down and 7. 5 defensive backs out there for the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's caught by Hishmanzada, close to a first down. He was whacked by Timmons and held on the play by Ferrier. They're going to give him the first down. It's a gain of 7. And they'll spot the ball at the 48. So the short passing, that ball coming out very, very quick.
And that makes it very difficult for Dick LeBeau to bring the blitz zones. So many of them he dials up because, again, the ball is coming out quick. 3 5-step throws. I think right now it's frustrating this Pittsburgh defense.
Kershke and Eason on the defensive line for Pittsburgh. It's 1st and 10 for Cincinnati at the 48. Benson in the backfield. There's a block by Levi Jones. Fitzpatrick winding up, going deep. Oh! Off the fingertips of Chad Johnson, who was stride for stride with Ike Taylor. Just that close. Taylor, they've been going at him a lot today, and he's had a fine game. Johnson had a touchdown reception earlier in the game when he beat McFadden.
But just watch the last 5 yards of that. I mean, it's pretty good coverage. The last 5 yards, you can see Chad Johnson begin to pull away from Mike Taylor, and a phenomenal effort. Watch him reach out, stretch out, and try and make this catch. I mean, just a little, and just took a little more off of that throw and might have scored.
Henry is in as a 3rd receiver. 2nd down and 10. Deshae Townsend in the defensive backfield. This is Benson. Blocked by Guychek. There's a block too by Andrews. Polamalu lost his hat. Benson with a plunging run of 15 yards. He's down to the 37-yard line. That's a first down.
Well, I'll tell you what, I think he's hurt. You just watch this. Just watch this hit they delivered. Like, boom! He knocked his helmet right off.
That is the longest run against that Pittsburgh defense this season, 15 yards. Polamalu will go catch his breath, and there is a Steeler down at the 47-yard line. It is Bryant McFadden. Injury timeout and the clock at 12:40. Polamalu will be on the sideline for this play. Tyrone Carter takes his place. Tyrone Carter is playing that safety. McFadden is out. Deshae Townsend plays his position, the cornerback. Base defense for Pittsburgh. It is 1st and 10 from the 37. Catchable by Chris Perry. Coverage by Ryan Clark. Second down and 10. We haven't seen much of Perry today. He had been the starter in the backfield up until this afternoon.
This is not something you see very often. I mean, usually Troy Polamalu is the one delivering these shots. And he's really on the receiving end of that one by Cedric Benson. I mean, that knocked him silly. That's a good job by the Bengals that last play. They got two people out of the secondary on the sidelines and come out throwing, trying to attack.
Gay is in as the nickel back. Second down and 10 from the 37. Henry is in the game. That's a handoff to Benson, who's grabbed by Timmons. And the gain to the 37. About a half-yard gain. Let's go to New York and JB.
Kevin and Rich, after blowing last week's game to the Falcons, Chicago playing inspired football here. Orton hooking up with Marty Booker. Outruns 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 Vikings. 51 yards to pay dirt. A career-high 10 touchdown passes for Orton. 41-31 Chicago. Wow. Kevin and Rich.
Couple 3-and-3 teams. Thank you, JB. Third down and 10. Nickel backfield. Gay is the nickel. Fitzpatrick hit and devoured. Brought down by Timmons. Ferrier back there as well. Back to the 43-yard line. They knock him out of field goal range. It's a loss of 6 on the play. Timmons with his second sack of the season.
And this is what makes this 3-4 so effective. You get a guy like Timmons one-on-one with a back like Kenny Watson. We saw it earlier. You're getting the outside linebackers matched up in space against guys like Coates and Kenny Watson. They're going to win that battle every time.
5 sacks today now by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Larson will kick it, and it's Muwelde Moore back at the 7-yard line. And he was back there to get it and not Santonio Holmes. 36-yard punt. We're in the fourth quarter.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by MotorStorm Pacific Rift, only on PlayStation 3. The Phenomenal 4 from Mitsubishi. 4 cars, 4 cylinders, 0 compromises. And by Sprint. Get NFL Mobile Live, only from Sprint, only on the Now Network.
After the Bengals punt, only one starter on that defensive line. In there now, Fanene and Sims and Rucker for Cincinnati. First down and 10. It's off to Moore. Gigantic hole on the right side. Brought down by Dexter Jackson. They get much needed breathing space to the 25. And it's a gain of 16 yards by Muwelde Moore.
And just watch that hole, and you can see right there, it's that zone blocking scheme. Justin Hartwig, Stapleton inside. They do a nice job setting the point and then getting back up on the second level, opening up a big gash for Muwelde Moore.
16 carries and 98 yards in that touchdown. First down and 10. 2 tight ends. Moore again. And close to over 100 yards right now. Brought down on the play by Sims and Fanene on a gain of 3. He's up to the 27-yard line. And tomorrow on CBS, what could turn Charlie Harper from sinner to saint? It's a 2.5 Men miracle on TV's #1 comedy. Catch a new episode tomorrow at 9 Eastern and Pacific, 8 Central and Mountain here on CBS. Second down and 7. Moore remains. Ward atop your screen. Still the 2 tight ends. Where they're crowding up on that line. Here comes Roethlisberger. Moore with the block, incomplete, and they were looking for Hines Ward. The coverage on the play by Jonathan Joseph.
And Kevin, as you and I talked during the break, I really think in order to win this game, Cincinnati is going to have to score either on defense or in the kicking game. And right there, you're seeing good coverage. And this defense, we talked about Ryan Fitzpatrick playing with more confidence. I see this defense playing with more confidence here in the second half.
6 defensive backs. Lynch and White, the safeties. They got Hall, Joseph, and Jones out there. 3rd and 7. Holmes has not caught a pass in this half. Washington is the 3rd receiver for Roethlisberger. The blitz is on. Big Ben throws. Caught by Holmes. He's got the first down. Spinning his way to the 45-yard line. A 17-yard pickup on 3rd and 7. Marvin White working on him on the side for the Bengals. A big-time throw by Ben Roethlisberger.
You're not lying with a big-time throw. A perfect throw and a great catch. Get it done here. That's pretty good coverage by Jonathan Joseph. But Roethlisberger put it in the only place he could. Low and away, outside, using the boundary. Good throw by Ben Roethlisberger.
So on this drive, Moore has run for 16. Holmes caught one right there for 17. First down and 10 from the 45 for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Two tights atop his screen for Roethlisberger out of Miami of Ohio. Weldon Moore runs into a pile. Johnson is there, and Richard Jenney out of the Canadian Football League with the stop. It's a gain of 4. He pushes a pile to the 49. Let's go to JB in our CBS studios.
All right, Kevin and Rich, no pile to push here as Kerry Collins hands off to Lindell White through the hole. Big fella. 80 yards to pay dirt. Third touchdown run of the day, 8th of the season. Titans have rushed for 254 yards. It's 27-0. They're spanking Kansas City. Back to Kevin and Rich.
That was a game where Brody Croyle was going to start at quarterback. White, a 1,000-yard gainer a year ago for Tennessee.
And that run defense, a problem in Kansas City. We saw the Raiders put 300 on them in week 2.
Second down and 5. Play action by Roethlisberger. Good block on the play by Heath Miller, and he's got his receiver, Washington. Nate Washington has caught another long touchdown pass for the second consecutive game. A 50-yard strike by Roethlisberger, a career-long catch for the touchdown for Nate the Great Washington. He caught a 48-yard touchdown pass 2 weeks ago against the Jacksonville Jaguars.
And look who he went up against. You see the safety taking a peek, and they get the one-on-one coverage, and he's going after Jeffrey Pope, a player that they just brought up this week. And that's what you want to do. You want to find the mismatches in the secondary. Get a veteran player like Nate Washington going against a guy like Jeffrey Pope.
Washington with his second touchdown reception of the season. Here is the Reed extra point. 24-10, the 4-1 Steelers. Great drive, 16-yard run by Moore. 17-yard pass to Holmes and a 50-yard throw. A touchdown pass by Roethlisberger. There are probably about 7,000 Pittsburgh Steeler fans in this building today in this capacity crowd watching their beloved Roethlisberger and Steelers lead Cincinnati. Washington just caught a 50-yard touchdown reception. Roethlisberger with 2 touchdown passes today. Weldon Moore has had a touchdown on the ground and through the air, and a new return man is Jerome Simpson. He is a rookie out of Coastal Carolina from the 11. Madison is there to make the stop along with Russell. Reserve running back Russell. 8-yard return.
When you go back and look, they're going to have a Hines Ward is going to go to the post, and Washington is going to go back over the top. The guy they're trying to go after is Ndukwe right there. He's got to make a decision. What he has to do, though, is stay deep as the deepest. And he winds up jumping the first route and allowing Nate Washington to go back on the outside. 2 people. Pope, the corner, has got to do a better job. And then Ndukwe has to pass that one off to the corner on the other side and help out on the post over the top.
Okay, McFadden is still not in. They've got Deshae Townsend taking his place. They've gone to a nickel. Gay is the nickel, and Polamalu is not in. Carter continues to take his place. That's a pass intended for Chad Johnson. Gay was in the vicinity. It's an incomplete pass. We want to thank the MetLife Blimp for providing aerial coverage of the Steelers and Bengals today. Look for the MetLife Blimps, Snoopy 1, 2, and 3 when they pass through a town near you. So we've not gotten word of Polamalu's health, nor Bryant McFadden's. They're still not in there. Get the nickel secondary and a second down and 10 from the 19. Benson in the backfield. Kelly back there is the lead blocker. Benson wrapped up and brought down by Harrison. You said it before. They've had no answer for Harrison today.
Well, they don't even block him there, and that's the problem. You turn a guy like this, you turn a Pro Bowl player like this loose on the edge. Just watch, right at the bottom of your screen there, they don't even block him. And then the fullback looks like he turns out late. Reggie Kelly was lined up in the fullback position in the backfield, and he doesn't block him.
So it's a loss of 2. It's back to the 17-yard line. Still the 5 defensive backs out there for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Henry is one of 3 receivers. There's a block by Watson, and right by him goes Timmons. Timmons came flying through. Watson could not control him with the block. That is the 6th sack today by Pittsburgh. That is a season high. And now beginning to grab the Cincinnati throat and squeeze.
And look at him just throw him down to the ground. This has been a problem all day. We talked about it on the first series of the game. You can't expect these backs to be able to block these linebackers. You have to help out. You have to turn and slide the line and give them some help.
Larson the punt. And Santonio Holmes is back there at the 50-yard line for the Pittsburgh Steelers, dancing his way, getting by Madison, curving around. And brought down by Jeffrey Pope. He was the guy just beaten on that long touchdown pass to Nate Washington. 40-yard punt. 24-10 Pittsburgh.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by the Home Depot, the official home improvement sponsor of the NFL. And by Subway, home of the famous always made fresh $5 footlong. Subway, eat fresh.
3 and out for the Cincinnati Bengals. 48-yard line, 1st and 10 for Roethlisberger. The fake to Moore. Look at the great play fake. And now Ben going for the jugular, looking for Hines Ward. There's a flag on the play, and the coverage on the play was by Jonathan Joseph going up against one of the great receivers in the NFL right now, Hines Ward, a 4-time Pro Bowler. One of the best we've ever seen. Certainly the best statistically for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Defense, number 22. Ball is placed at the spot of the foul. 1st down.
And this is the thing I like about Bruce Arians, their offensive coordinator, and not only that, but Ben Roethlisberger. I mean, they continue to attack you and go after you, and they have the ability to do that now because of the personnel that they have offensively.
So a 38-yard penalty brings the Steelers down to the 14-yard line where they've got it 1st and 10. McHugh is in the backfield. There are 2 tight ends, Spaeth and Miller on the line. Mewelde Moore. And boy, goes into the secondary for Brandon Johnson. Brings him a spurts down to the 8 on a 6-yard run right between the tackles. Now, we told you that Polamalu was out. He's on his BlackBerry right there, maybe on the phone to Theodora or whoever, maybe his family, saying, I'm okay. Asked me a couple questions. Questionable return for Polamalu. You don't see that much guys on the phone, on their personal phones on the sideline.
I've never seen it. It's modern technology right there.
I'm sure it's a trainer's phone. 2nd down and 4 from the 8. Ward is at the bottom of your screen. And the handoff goes to Moore. He is brought down by Dhani Jones, their leading tackler, and the gain is to the 1. Another 6-yard, back-to-back 6-yard runs by Mewelde Moore, who today 118 yards on the heels of a 99-yard performance and 17 carries 2 weeks ago in Jacksonville.
I'll tell you what, there hasn't been any drop-off at all in terms of the production from the running game. And Mewelde Moore, he's kind of the little big man. He's only 5'11", 209, but I'll tell you what, he packs a big punch, and he's ran very hard today.
That's his 5th 100-yard game. 2 tight ends, 1st and goal at the 2. Middle's in motion, same side as Spaeth. Here comes Moore. Hit by Dhani Jones, and he bounces and backpedals into the end zone for his 3rd touchdown today. What a great free agent pickup, typical of the Steelers in the offseason. He knew Tomlin from Minnesota, so the familiarity was there, and he signs as a free agent this past offseason from the Vikings.
In initial contact, he keeps those legs churning and finds a way to fall forward for the score. And you're right, Mike Tomlin told us, he said, I knew all about this guy from my time in Minnesota. I felt he could help us as a 3rd down back, but he's been more than that today.
They've blown it open, and the Steelers are going to win their 8th consecutive game in Cincinnati, including the playoffs against the Bengals with the Reed extra point. So Moore has had one of those terrific days. Now remember, he's the 3rd different starting running back that Mike Tomlin has had to employ. They began with Parker. He got injured. Then they went to Rashard Mendenhall, and he broke his shoulder. So the 3rd different back was Mewelde Moore, who has come in and been an incredible addition.
When you look at the longest active road win streaks, I mean, Cincinnati has lost 7 straight home games to Pittsburgh now by a combined score of 175 to 91, and they've been outrushed in those games by 725 yards. That's really why the rivalry has been so one-sided. If you can't run the ball and you can't stop the run, it's very hard to be successful in this league.
Steelers in first place in the AFC North by 2 games. They've won 2 consecutive games coming into this afternoon. Road record of 2-1. Winless Cincinnati at 0-6. Soon to be, it appears, 0-7. That is a tough one. I didn't notice, though, for the Bengals, we were at practice on Friday and around the team. I didn't notice anybody hanging their head, any kind of a downcast feel. Obviously difficult, but we didn't notice anything outwardly.
Well, the effort was certainly there today, and it's just that the mistakes. I mean, whether it's a wrong run fit, whether it's a drop ball, it's just making a poor decision. Just not good enough now to overcome all the penalties and mistakes that they've made.
Here comes Coates, the tight end, on the short kick by Reed. He is grabbed by Carter, Tyrone Carter, out of the University of Minnesota. 18-yard return. 5:10 to play in this game. Don't set your fantasy league lineup without watching fantasy football today. Live every Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, only on CBSSports.com. Rich and I and all the other CBS television crews file reports from the broadcast booth on video that you'll watch on your laptop, on your desktop, giving you the latest injury information and updates from the game that we are at that Sunday. It is a 1st and 10 from the 43-yard line for Ryan Fitzpatrick. His third receiver is Henry. He gets a block from Watson. It goes outside. It's dropped by Chad Johnson, who was working on Ike Taylor across the way at about the 47. It's incomplete, and it'll be 2nd down and 10. Chad Johnson had a touchdown reception earlier in the game.
It's a lack of concentration there. I mean, that one hits him right in the chest. Complain about not getting the ball, and then you put it in the ground when you have your opportunities. And
2nd down and 10. Henry, the bottom of your screen. Still no McFadden, who's got an arm injury. Probably will not return. We told you about Polamalu, who's out of the game, and Carter taking his place. 2nd and 10. This is T.J. Hishman's lost the ball, and it's picked up on. They call it an incomplete pass. Nick Eason vacuumed it in and looked like he may go the distance, but it was a drop pass by the Pro Bowler Hishmanzada.
Good job sitting in there, and talk about the rough start that Ryan Fitzpatrick had, the 5 3 and outs. But since then, I mean, honestly, he's played very well. And you saw a comparison earlier. The numbers of his versus Roethlisberger have been pretty close. And again, they have to build a football team around him. Everybody must play better.
3rd down and 10 against the nickel. He lost the ball. It's a fumble, and Pittsburgh's got it. I think it was Lamar Woodley who got the ball, the guy that's replacing Clark Higgins, who left before the season. That could be the first turnover of the game. They have indeed ruled it to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and Woodley, who's had a terrific game, had a fumble recovery against Baltimore that he returned for a touchdown. He has a fumble recovery here. As you see McFadden leaving the field with that iced up right arm.
And we talked about ball security, how important that was going to be, and the ability to step up in the pocket. I mean, you're talking about 2 linebackers, Woodley and Harrison, that have combined for 12 sacks coming into today's game. The other thing we said, you can't hold the ball. It's got to come out quick. He did a much better job of that. You see right there, these 2 guys cause havoc in opponents' backfields. As a quarterback, you have to know that coming in, the ball must come out.
New quarterback is Byron Leftwich. He is in the game. They work with a couple of tight ends here. McHugh is the fullback from the 34, 1st and 10. Russell is the new running back. Moore's had 3 touchdowns today. Leftwich, there's a good hit by Sims off that defensive line. A loss of 3, and it's back to the 37-yard line. Byron Leftwich, who was signed August 10th, longtime Jacksonville Jaguar. He played 4 years. He played for Atlanta, where he was released in February of 08 and signed here. In fact, they had a tryout once Charlie Batch went down to back up Roethlisberger. It was Dante Culpepper and Leftwich, and they kept Leftwich. 2nd down and 13 from the 37. 2 tights, and Russell remains in the game. Leftwich, and that pass is caught by Washington, who had the 50-yard touchdown reception moments ago, and he's brought down to the play by Jonathan Joseph. It's a gain of 7. He's down to the 30-yard line. There's a new look to this team now with Leftwich in there.
Byron Leftwich, and that's the advantage when you have a lead like this in the fourth quarter. You get a chance to rest some of your players, and not only that, you get a chance for a guy like Byron Leftwich to come in and get some reps. Somewhere down the line, you might need a player like Byron Leftwich to win you a game in the fourth quarter.
Jeremy Parkett, 65, now playing the right tackle for Cologne. 3rd down and 6. Leftwich guns a pass, and Linus Swede drops the ball. He had just checked in the game, his first offensive snap. Or do they call it a catch? Let's see. Yep, they call it a catch for Swede, who is their 2nd-round draft choice, a rookie out of Texas. Number 6 all-time in Longhorn receiving. And with Dallas Baker down today with a shoulder sprain, Swede was brought up and makes the catch on the play. He's playing the 4th receiver, an 11-yard grab.
And that's what Mike Tomlin told us. He said he's a good player, but we just have so much depth, and it's hard to get these guys activated, and not only that, but to find a way to get them in the game.
2 tight ends, 20-yard line, 1st and 10. Russell in the game, and the call with the McHugh block. And he works his way to the 15-yard line and brought down by Brandon Johnson after a gain of 3 yards.
You know, when I step back and I look at this Steelers football team, it's always been about building a team. You know, you go back to the days of Chuck Noll and Bill Cowher, their legacy, and they're never going to build a system around any one player. You look at what they're doing in Dallas with T.O. or even the Raiders, it seems like they're always adding superstars. They look for the right players who are leaders who fit into their system of football.
Essex, the left tackle. Starks is the tackle eligible. Swede is back in. It's 2nd down and 7, and this is Gary Russell, is brought down by Robert Gathers. No gain on the play, staying at the 16-yard line. So we've reached the 2-minute warning. Roethlisberger with 2 touchdown passes. Moore with 3 touchdowns on the day for the Steelers. 0-7 will be the Cincinnati Bengals record for the worst offense in the NFL without Carson Palmer, who is injured and probably out for the next 3, maybe more weeks. And here's what they got coming up over the next handful of weeks as they go to the end of November.
When you're talking about you have to go to November 16th, the Philadelphia game, before you'd be fortunate enough to have a player like Carson Palmer come back. That ulnar collateral ligament. It's that Tommy John deal that Jake Delhomme had in Carolina that is causing him the problems right now.
3rd and 7. Marquette with a nice block. That's a deflected pass, reeled in by Hines Ward. There's a touchdown. There's a flag thrown as well. And a whiff on the tackle by Jonathan Joseph. He was on the wing against the great Hines Ward, and that young guy just got that ball as Ward comes up with a touchdown reception, his 5th of the year. He had the game-winning touchdown reception against Jacksonville 2 weeks ago.
After the touchdown, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, Cincinnati number 28. That 15-yard penalty will be enforced on the kickoff. The touchdown counts.
Well, the thing I like about Hines Ward, this guy has fun playing the game. I mean, every time you see him, it seems like he always has a smile on his face. He is a great player. He's a great competitor. He's a great team leader. And, you know, he's one of the most unselfish receivers. You talk about a position in the National Football League that has some selfishness. There's a guy right there that gets it.
Reed with the extra point. He's had $15,000 worth of fines last 2 games, which his team, including Polamalu, have stepped up and tried to support him. If you take the 2 games played between the Steelers and Bengals a year ago and the game today, Hines Ward has 5 touchdown receptions against Cincinnati in the last 3 games going back to last year. Wow. Well, tomorrow on CBS, could Horatio Cain's own family be killers? It's a shocking news CSI. That's tomorrow on CBS. Steelers with 4 touchdowns and 5 second-half possessions. Leftwich has thrown a touchdown pass. Ward just caught his. Roethlisberger has thrown 2 touchdown passes. Moore has had 3 touchdowns today, 2 on the ground and 1 through the air. Complete domination by the division-leading Pittsburgh Steelers, who will go to 5-1 and 3-1 on the road. And all smiles from Tomlin and Big Ben on that Pittsburgh side. Because of the penalty, they'll tee up the ball at the 45-yard line, and that's where Reed will kick off. We had Tomlin his very first game as a head coach last year, opening up the season in Cleveland. Then we talked to him yesterday. It's interesting what one season as a head coach in the NFL will do to you.
He's getting more gray hair. But the other thing I'll say about this is if you give a guy like Mike Tomlin, Dick LeBeau, and Bruce Arians an extra week to prepare, it's tough. They're a good group. They're well coached. They have good schemes, and the players play hard.
Reed will boot this where Simpson will watch it die at the 5, and it's picked up by Kenny Watson, the reserve running back. He got a block on the play and then takes it out to the 28-yard line and a 15-yard return. That block was by Johnson.
Well, it doesn't get any easier in the National Football League. You just look at their next month. The Giants at Washington, Indy, San Diego. And the only good thing is a bunch of those games at home. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4 of their next 5 games at home. Pittsburgh, a very tough team to beat at home, but tough schedule. Good football teams, playoff caliber teams, all on the docket the next month ahead for the Steelers.
Here's the coach and his offensive coordinator. Here's Jordan Palmer, the brother of Carson Palmer, and the backup quarterback now in the game. Handoff goes to Kenny Watson, who this team, as Rich was talking about earlier, really likes, the players in particular. Gain of 5 up to the 25-yard line. Jordan Palmer.
Well, it's amazing. He looks a lot like his brother. You see him out there in the practice field, the same body type, 6'5", 230 pounds. It was kind of neat to see some clips of him last night in our production meeting, watching him at Texas El Paso and chucking the ball around. Has a lot of records there, and you see Carson Palmer. They are a completely different football team without Carson Palmer under center, no question.
Second down, short 5 from the 25. Jordan Palmer outside, completes his first NFL pass. That's Simpson, brought down by Lawrence Timmons on a gain of 3, and he's up to the 28-yard line. Jordan Palmer was a 6th-round draft choice by the Washington Redskins last season out of Texas El Paso. He played in the Redskins preseason. He was part of the final cuts. It looks like Simpson, who just caught his breath moments ago on the sideline, is going to be now laid out with 49 seconds to play in the game.
You talk about Carson Palmer and what he's meant to this football team. And see up top here.
Simpson with his first NFL reception. And the timeout, because it's inside 2 minutes, is on the Cincinnati Bengals. As Simpson tries to collect himself. He's been inactive for half the season. He's played in half the season, but he hasn't caught a pass from Coastal Carolina.
And getting back to Carson Palmer, I mean, all the experience that you lose, and you know, we talked a little bit about the no huddle today. You know how we haven't seen that in a while, because that's really where Carson Palmer was phenomenal. I mean, getting them in the best possible play, the up-tempo style. And I mean, we talked with Bob Britkowski, their offensive coordinator. He said they didn't want to overload Ryan Fitzpatrick. It takes experience in the system and understanding, a great feel for that package, and so they've gotten away from that a little bit. And so you lose a good percentage of your offense because you don't have the experience of Carson Palmer.
Anthony Smith now playing one of the defensive back positions. He's back at that safety. It's 3rd down and 2. Jordan Palmer. Catch made by Watson, drilled by William Gain. 1-yard gain to the 28. Gain is 2 years out of Louisville, and he is a hard hitter. Played all 16 last year, mainly on special teams, but he comes in as a nickel and a dime.
And that's experience, and as a quarterback, you have to always see out in front of throws. You never want to lead your receiver into a head-on collision. And experience in the system, reps, so important. You just know that Jordan Palmer probably hasn't had very many reps this week.
Palmer with 4th and 1. 3 tight ends. Inside Palmer, caught by Chad Johnson, run out of bounds by Anthony Madison. That's the first down. 37-yard line, 4 seconds remaining, 8-yard pickup. Our producer today is Cincinnati born and raised Ken Mack. And he and Ryan Fitzpatrick have something in common. They both went to Harvard. Kenny, great job. Great working with you today. Brian Lilly has been our director. Pat McGrath has been our statistician. Special thanks to John Paquette and a terrific crew down in our truck. 37-yard line. Gary Brown, thank you to him as well downstairs. Outside, Henry drops the ball. 1 second left. So one more play, and this will be it. Executive producer Sean McManus, Vice President of Production, CBS Sports, Harold Bryant. Director Bob Matina, coordinating and producer of the NFL's Lance Barrow. Special thanks to John Paquette, as we mentioned, Alex Birchie, and Brian Kozlowski. Technical directors Craig Bernstein. Audio supervisor Pat Thornton. Final play, and this is Watson. On 2nd down and 10. And that'll do it. 0-7 Cincinnati, 5-1 Pittsburgh, 3-1 on the road, 3 consecutive Steeler wins. They are on a roll. Roethlisberger had 2 touchdown passes today. Moore had 3 touchdowns. Coming up, the Burger King update will take you to New York for all the scores and highlights right after this.